yes.
And once you say yes, Thinkability Wisconsin will be there, providing transition and workforce support for people with disabilities and their employers to help shape a better future for all. It all starts when you say yes. Join the movement at thinkabilitywi.org.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training.
Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Time for a WTMJ sports update.
The Bucks are finally home again tomorrow night to face Minnesota after going 1-4 on the road. Capped with another loss last night in Phoenix against the Suns, 114-106. Milwaukee played shorthanded with Damian Lillard out, Brook Lopez as well, and then Chris Middleton stepped on Kevin Durant's foot during the game and left the arena in a boot. College buckets, the Badgers lost at Nebraska, then again against Purdue on Sunday. Chance, though, to snap the two-game skid tonight against last-placed Michigan in Ann Arbor. Tip-off is 6 p.m. for that Big Ten matchup. And the Packers get a new linebackers coach in Anthony Campanile. He held the same job in Miami but was replaced there with, wait for it, former Packers defensive coordinator Joe Barry. I'm Bob Brainerd, WTMJ Sports.
Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic Report. Even through the I-43 construction zone north of downtown, things are moving well in both directions. 11-minute drive between the Marquette and Brown Deer Road, both directions this afternoon. Continuing southbound out of downtown, 7 minutes to get to Layton Avenue. Westbound I-94, no delays out of downtown. 11 minutes from the zoo to Highway 16.
Traffic is sponsored by the Delafield Brewhouse Restaurant and Brewery. Visit delafieldbrewhouse.com for daily specials.
Enjoy Naga Wicked Pale Ale Beer Battered Cod at the Delafield Brewhouse. Available Fridays for lunch and dinner. Dine in or take out ready. The Delafield Brewhouse. Drink ale, live lager.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast. Filtered sunshine this afternoon at a high of 47 degrees. Tonight's low a mild 39. And then near record temperatures on Thursday and Friday. Thursday's high 54 with scattered showers, maybe even a little bit of thunder. Tomorrow, Friday, partly cloudy, breezy, high of 52, temperatures falling in the afternoon. And then Saturday, partly cloudy with a high of 40 degrees, 38 the high on Sunday under partly cloudy skies. Right now in Madison, it's 40 degrees, 42 in Green Bay, 40 in Waukesha, and in Milwaukee, 41 degrees. I'm Vince Vitrano, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:07.
It's the middle of the day on WTMJ. Come join the conversation on the WTMJ Talk and Text line at 855-616-1620. Now, here's Craig Collins.
Hey there, 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. Thrilled to be on with you this early afternoon, midday. You can text us, you can call us, 855-616-1620, 855-616-1620 to get involved, be a part of the show. Nikki Haley had a poorly planned thing happen yesterday. A miscue, a mistake, whatever you want to call it. First to explain, because I even got people, granted, for some other radio stuff that I do, reaching out to me and being like, look at this. Nevada has also removed Trump's name from the ballot. And that's not true. Trump is in a caucus, which will happen next week and actually does assign delegates. Nikki Haley chose to be in a primary, which has no delegates. And I think the reason Haley chose to do that is that Trump wasn't in that one. So Haley gets a name on a primary somewhere in the country where she's not technically running against Trump. She would not have won any actual valuable delegates to advance her case to try to be a nominee for the Republican Party. But I assume she thought of this as sort of a symbolic win and certainly something that would embolden a lot of people who talk about this topic often and say that Nikki Haley's the better option, that she would beat Biden more easily. I honestly think Biden would probably lose to a potato at this point, and I'll get into that in a bit. Apparently, Karl Rove agrees with me. I thought that was interesting the other day. But the truth is, Nikki Haley lost by a really ugly margin to none of the above. I have some audio from MSNBC. Again, this is embarrassing, to say the least.
Haley, without Trump's name even on the ballot, still loses to the none option by better than 2-1. So that is a tough reality for her.
Yes, it is.
Trump isn't even on the ballot, and she loses. And it's a closed primary, so it really reinforces what we've been seeing, that when you're just talking about Republican voters, she's really getting clobbered.
So something that I see a lot, people say this a lot, and Democrat, awesome, conservative, awesome, whatever you call yourself, fine. If you choose to vote across the aisle in a primary with no interest in actually voting for any of those candidates in a general election, you're just trying to screw stuff up. And that happened in Nevada. We saw some of that, at least in one location in Iowa, that there were people that were interviewed, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, I think everybody, and they were like, oh, yeah, no, I'm voting for Nikki Haley to undermine the value of Trump. But in a general election versus Biden, I'm definitely voting for Biden, wouldn't vote for either one of them. And then there's also that conservative narrative that Trump is weaker with conservatives than people think he is, than some believe him to be. It's almost like you get your street cred with the Democrats if you're willing to say that Trump is not beloved by everyone within the conservative party. And that is true. He's not beloved, but they would vote for him. Case in point is this: 63% of people saying no to Haley and yes to other option, yes to none of the above. And then also, I looked it up the other night from a few different places, and the approval rating, or the people who believe that they have a positive opinion of Trump in some fashion that also are conservatives, it's like 80%. 80% of conservatives say they actually have a favorable opinion of the former president, which would make the independents mad. It makes the Democrats very mad. But it's simply true. And if you're 20% of the people in the conservative party that don't have a favorable opinion of Trump, it doesn't seem that you're unwilling to vote for him. It seems that you're more than likely to vote for him against Biden in a general election. So I just thought last night this was a pretty damaging outcome for Nikki Haley. She didn't have to compete in the primary. She could have left herself in a caucus against Trump, lost to Trump, but actually gained some amount of delegates in the process. She chose not to do that, I think with the intention, again, of winning something symbolic, and she failed. She failed real bad. Also a failure yesterday is an attempt to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas, the DHS secretary. What I think is very interesting about this, probably the most interesting thing about it, is that a Wisconsin politician wound up getting surrounded. This was according to a lot of reports. I actually think that I have audio from CNN talking about this last night. They had a Republican on, and there was pushback immediately when that guest said that, certain things were going on and there was confusion. Immediately, Caitlin Collins said, wait a minute, sir, I believe you're leaving something out here. And that something is a Wisconsin politician he refused to change his vote, which is good. If that's the way you believe you should vote, then you should vote that way. I'm not going to tell him he did anything wrong. I'm actually glad that you stood by whatever your decision was and didn't let people muscle you around. But here's that back and forth on CNN.
A lot of reasons. Republicans generally don't use the carrot or the stick like the Democrats have done in the past. You've seen on the floor where votes have been dragged out and they circle them in leadership and whisper in their ear and tell them things that they maybe are not too comfortable hearing. But we don't do that. We allow for the free thinking of others.
Congressman,
and frankly, it just...
Congressman, I want to hear your answer, and I like to let people talk when they're a guest on this show. But I do have to say, there were reports that people were going up to Congressman Mike Gallagher after he had voted against impeachment.
They did.
Oh, sure. I'm sure there were. But it wasn't any orchestrated thing. It was different people.
That's a weak argument. You got to be honest. That's a weak argument. We say, no, we don't do that as Republicans. We don't try to muscle people and push people into a certain, way of thinking. And then just the other day, they did try to do that. And again, I actually personally think Alejandro Mayorkas has not done his job. Is that the equivalent of deserving to be impeached? I think some people would say, sure. I do think the argument holds water, though, that devaluing impeachment is a bad thing for our political process. We have enough problems already with the amount of infighting. I mean, the craziest thing to me in the world of politics today, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, I think everyone can agree, I promise you'll agree with me on this, that this is a problem. They do very little work. And what I mean by that is they really refuse to figure out stuff until they absolutely have to figure out stuff. The easiest example of that is a budget. They take all the way up to the deadline. They go past the deadline. They should be working on this way before they actually release things and ask people to sign stuff within 24 hours. It feels like the mob, in a sense. And this is both sides of the political aisle. When you have power, you like to wait with power. If you have a boss that likes to demonstrate they have power over you, they're going to ignore some emails sometimes. They're going to put you off for a few days. That's what happens in this political system we live in today all the time. And it's infuriating, it's ridiculous, and it needs to change. It's unlikely to change, but it certainly is annoying. And so should we complicate that further by allowing for a whole lot of people to get impeached whenever we feel like they're not doing their job? Probably not. At the same token, the border is uniquely bad, and there is a bunch of viral audio of Mayorkas and many others saying again and again and again, the border's secure, it's fine, leave it alone, stop talking about it, until eventually saying, all right, it's bad, but we blame the Republicans, and everybody needs to now yell at them and blame them and tell us to spend more money on this thing. But I did think that was fascinating. One last thing, and then I'll take a break. I also think that the Tucker Carlson interview with Vladimir Putin is something. And it's not out yet. And I know a lot of people hate Tucker. I know a lot of people love Tucker. I don't have a strong opinion of Tucker either way. I do think if he was with Fox, he would be unlikely to be doing this interview. But since he's on his own, it actually makes a bunch of sense that he does it because it's probably going to get a lot of clicks. And when you're on the internet, you want a lot of clicks, regardless of if you're doing good or bad content. The truth is you just want a lot of clicks. Now, two things I thought were most interesting about this interview before it comes out. And I did see somewhere that I think a transcript might have been leaked. I'm going to hold out to see the actual interview itself. The first one is in Tucker's 4-minute video where he talked about why he's doing the interview. He said that no one asks Vladimir Putin from the West to interview him. And a whole bunch of reporters, a whole bunch of media people called bull crap on that. They said it was absolutely not true. I think CNN was out there. The New York Times was out there saying that. A lot of people said, of course, we asked Vladimir Putin for an interview. I think even the PR guy for Putin, which is not someone I would normally reference or believe at all, said that, yeah, no, we get a bunch more requests than just Tucker Carlson. But the thing that's even more interesting to me, the EU has already threatened to sanction Tucker Carlson. This is real. The New York Newsweek, and a lot of others have reported on this. The European Union is contemplating whether or not it will sanction, maybe even put travel restrictions on Tucker after he did an interview with Vladimir Putin. If a lot of other people are asking for interviews with the same guy, is the EU likely to do this to them if they actually went through with that interview? If Christiana Yamapour actually does an interview with Vladimir Putin, do you think we have the same reaction going on in the world? I can't assume that we do. And so it's sort of interesting to me that media, did what it did and said, how dare Tucker try to tell us that we don't have the same level of integrity that he has. And then the European Union's like, how dare he do that thing? We're going to slap him across the face for it. Again, I don't know what it'll be. It could be a softball interview. It could be a harder hitting interview. It could be anywhere in between. I do think it's interesting, not because I like Vladimir Putin. I hope one of the questions asked is, why do so many people disappear in Russia? But you'd probably disappear after asking him that. So I don't think that'll happen. But we'll see. Again, I'll have an open mind about it. I just think the debate about the value of it in the world of journalism was sort of fascinating. All right, we'll take a break. A lot more coming up. This is Craig Collins filling in, 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
Be sure to load up on Vienna Beef hot dogs for this weekend's big football game. The official hot dog of the Milwaukee Brewers is Vienna Beef. Manufactured and produced since 1893. Available at select grocers and hot dog stands near you.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
Your house isn't the ugly one, is it? Well, the function of your home is very important, and function means we are always trying to keep wind, rain, ice, snow, and other environmental variables out so you know you are protected inside. We want to make sure that we button up your home so you can manage your comfort all year. Function is great and very much respected. However, back to the ugly part. Yeah, we don't have to compromise function at all while delivering you a beautiful home that everyone can enjoy. Imagine transforming your home from what everyone is staring at to a home everyone is raving about. We can make your home stand out with gorgeous new windows, bays and bows, double hung windows, casement windows, round tops, stylish grid patterns, transoms. We can even use beautiful siding with vibrant colors, decorative shakes, designer shutters, luxury roofing styles and patterns, and top it all off with a gorgeous entry door system with eye-catching glass options that finish your home with a sparkle. While Siding Unlimited is transforming your home into a work of art, you can rest easy knowing that our professional installers won't compromise function. Your neighbors will be raving about your home, and you'll be comfortable inside and very proud. Yes, your home might be ugly, but it certainly doesn't have to be.
Eric and his crews at Siding Unlimited are your go-to contractor here for replacement doors and windows and roofing, decks, and of course siding. Take the next step. Check them out at sidingunlimited.com. Siding Unlimited, siding and a whole lot more.
WTMJ in Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Thrilled to be with you. Aaron's producing the show. He does that every single day right here on 620. A quick thing, and Aaron, if you want to chime in, feel free. If you don't, it's fine. I got a buddy of mine that's been arguing with me all week via text, and then once actually in person for an hour on another radio thing that I do about whether or not the NFL can be fixed. This used to be a thing that was like a conspiracy theory guy in the corner of the internet kind of conversation. It had nothing to do with politics. It was just thinking that the NFL was sort of like WWE or something. And because of Taylor Swift and all this other stuff, it's gained way more prominence. And so as non-politically as I can do this argument as humanly possible, I've been saying the same thing back to my buddy, and I love it, and I wanted to share it on the air. Sports would be the hardest thing to fix in our society without us noticing at least the failure, the agony of defeat thing. If you have some player do something they wouldn't normally do, we'd notice. If you have a ref make a call they wouldn't normally make, we notice. Even if they make calls and human error comes into play, if you're a sports fan at all, we hyper analyze and discuss and go crazy about it. The losing team in any sort of contest would be up in arms if they thought that it got stolen from them by anybody, by a player on the other side that cheated, by, a ref, anyone like that. And the whole reason I say all this, and this is a silly topic, but I can't help want to talk about it. The whole reason I say all of this is because I'm not even saying that people wouldn't try to fix sports. Maybe bookies or gamblers would try to get people to do stuff. I just think it's so different than most of the arguments you have in this world of did this happen or didn't this happen? Because at the end of the day, for sports specifically, everything's out there. Everything's on video. Everything's, already ridiculously overanalyzed. I mean, we'll have a multiple-hour pregame show before the Super Bowl talking about all the things we think are going to be important in that game. So I just think it's sort of ridiculous to make a claim that something is happening and then not be able to prove it in the world of sports.
And
I don't know if you have anything you want to say. Go ahead.
This is an interesting conversation. I'm kind of glad you brought it up. I mean, this kind of came to reality in the NBA with the whole Tim Donaghy situation.
Sure.
Right? So, you look back on that and you go, wow, I mean, like it happened. And according to Tim Donaghy, by his account, he wasn't the only one doing it. Right. And it maybe was coming down from a higher authority than even him from time to time, So, it always begs the question. But at the end of the day, if you think that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl because Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce, then you're just wrong. Because
wait a minute. I don't agree with it, but they think that that's true because Taylor Swift's going to endorse Biden at the end of a win for the Chiefs at the Super Bowl.
You know what? Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback on planet Earth, and that is end of story, period. So
it's hard to admit that. I was long to admit that Tom Brady was good without Bill Belichick, and I was wrong about that. And it took me a while, and at least one Super Bowl without him. And there's some about the way that Patrick Mahomes plays that almost feels like he's overly lucky, like some of the crazy scrambling and back, handed passes and stuff. Yeah. But it's pretty difficult to not give him that he's the absolute best over the last 5 or 6 years because of the consistency and going to the Super Bowl 5 straight times. It's hard to reject anything other than he's one of the greatest to ever play.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. And as of this moment, I'll still say Tom Brady is the greatest to ever do it, just because all the winning and the 7 rings. You can say that Patrick Mahomes is on the trajectory to pass him. I'd be okay with saying that, but you can't tell me right now that he's better than his career is better than what Tom Brady did. That's just not true. But yeah, I mean, I look back, getting back to the rigging the sports thing.
Yes, please.
I look back at some calls throughout history, and I think, it makes you wonder about some. I think of the one against it was the Saints and the Rams in the NFC Championship 4 or 5 years ago, and there was that blatant pass interference. And they just held the flag, and you're looking at it, you're going, there's no way in the world you can look at that and not realize it was pass interference. Like little instances like that make you go, I wonder.
Well, see, and that's exactly what I mean. So could that game have been fixed? I guess now the answer is sure, it could have been. If someone chose to put that in the pocket. Yeah. The thing that's funny to me when we talk about this, especially this year, is that you could point to it. Like some crazy person on Twitter, on X, would be diving deep into all the video. And I even looked it up before the show today. Do you know what team led the league in drop passes if you think somebody's dropping a pass on purpose?
I think it would probably be the Chiefs, right?
The Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. They dropped the most passes of any team in the NFL.
Yep.
That's an odd way to try to fix your way to the Super Bowl if you're just dropping passes being thrown into your hands.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, but all right. Thank you for that, man. I love the back and forth with my buddy because my buddy keeps saying, look, I don't have any proof, but I know it's possible. And I'm like, well, then prove it. In this one world, that can't be enough to tell me I know it's possible, but I can't prove it. You got to be able to point to something because these games don't happen behind closed doors or with windows shut and everybody, looking away. All right, we'll take a break. A lot more in a bit. 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
Valentine's Day is here. This year, give the ultimate gift. Name a star after your sweetheart. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For 45 years, we've named millions of stars for celebrities, dignitaries, and individuals worldwide. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can give the most memorable gift. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333. Valentine's Day is here. This year, give the ultimate gift. Name a star after your sweetheart. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For 45 years, we've named millions of stars for celebrities, dignitaries, and individuals worldwide. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can give the most memorable gift. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
I had a really strange experience today.
Strange how?
A man walked into the store who was only about 2.5 feet tall.
What?
And he was carrying a bow and arrows.
Did he sort of have a baby face?
Yes. How did you know?
Sarah, that was Cupid.
Oh!
Did he give us a thumbs up?
Yes, 3 times.
So tell us, what are the Cupid-approved gifts for Valentine's 2024?
He loved our diamond stud earrings starting at $198.
We have 186 different styles and sizes.
And we have more than 1,400 pair in stock.
And Cupid loved our $98 diamond pendant.
It looks like it's worth a lot more.
And every purchase of $298 or more includes a fabulous free travel case to safely transport all of your jewelry.
But mostly, he loved the 4-carat total weight wow diamond engagement ring for less than $4,000.
Welcome to Kessler's for Valentine's Day.
Cupid approved.
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
.620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. A bunch of stuff to talk about. Real quick, I know this is a couple days old now, but I just thought it was really interesting. And I haven't been on WTMJ for a couple days. I love the fact that it went viral. Maybe it was last week that all those silly signs you see on the highway are going to be rethought, or at least they're going to be totally thrown out in most states because people are deciding it's more of a distraction to make a joke about how you shouldn't be distracted while driving than actually getting the message home that you shouldn't be distracted while driving. Wisconsin is not game to just immediately throw this stuff out. They want to reevaluate it, and I think they are right to do that. I think it makes sense because I don't notice what the signs say, especially those, signs that you barely pay attention to off to the side of the highway. If it's late at night or something, I'm making it sound like I'm a terrible driver already, I think, and I don't pay attention to anything. But I don't really pay attention to it unless I think I need to. But because jokes are now happening, because humor is now being thrown out there, I definitely pay more attention. I think the problem is likely that someone wants to take a picture of this stuff and then put it on their social media page because we see pictures of this stuff on people's social media pages, and that's not good. Don't do that. Don't, while you're driving, try to take a photograph. If you're alone in the car, bad move for all involved. So please don't do that. And I assume that's why they're trying to do away with this, because it has social media value, which, by the way, is not something I ever thought I'd say in my life. Granted, in 2024, that the road signs have too much Instagram value, and that's why they're contemplating getting rid of them or changing the way in which they work. All right. Another thing out there I do want to talk about more than I have so far was the vote to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas. Has he done his job? No. Has anybody done their job at the border? Of course they have not. The border is wide open. And would you say, hey, wait a minute, that's not really the job a president can impact? Well, Biden seems to disagree with you. He took quite a few executive actions when he first got into office and throughout his years in office. One of the very first ones was to remove a declaration of emergency that especially existed with people coming into our country potentially from places where terrorism exists, where acts of terrorism exist. But even more so than that, removing a sense of urgency when COVID was still something we were talking about here in the United States. It prevented the wall that was being built from continuing to be built. That's an immediate impact on whether or not the border is secure. And there are a lot of examples of Biden deciding to do this, do that, change something that made it more easy to get into our country. And then comes that $118 billion bill that would give $60 billion, I think, to Ukraine. It would give a few $1 billion to Israel, not anywhere near the same. And it would do about $20 billion for the border, but it would not do anything to actually secure it. It wouldn't do anything to actually cause a deterrent there. In fact, within that bill, they actually would like to give anyone who gets into our country who's caught and released into our society an immediate ability to work legally. They wanted to make it possible for you to get a job day two. And what's crazy about that, and I just want to say this quickly, and then I promise I'll move on. I have a little audio from Speaker Johnson about it. My wife is from Mexico, born and raised there. She's not second generation, third generation. My wife, born there. I met her in college. She went to school in the United States. She was on a student visa when we met, and we fell in love, that whole thing. I won't bore you with the details, although my wife would love me to tell the whole story. And then she tried to become a citizen, and that was a difficult process. It took quite some time. A lot of things were up and down about it, but it eventually worked. She's a citizen today. But the entire time she went through the process, when she was no longer a student, she couldn't get a job here in the United States. She had no legal right to work. And so anyone that goes through the process correctly actually is at a lesser vantage point. It's a detriment to them compared to someone who does it illegally if this bill were to pass. You can't allow that to happen. Not just because it would encourage more people to cross the border illegally into our country and then expect to get a job. Not just that reason, although that feels like the biggest reason. The other reason you can't let that happen, you can't devalue the people who are currently doing something the correct way. You can't say even more out loud than you already do. No need to show up and do things right. No need to try to become a citizen by crossing through the door and asking us to open it. Just go ahead around back and you'll be totally fine. That's literally what that bill would be screaming if it were to pass, and the House tremendously unlikely to pass it. But to go back to the border and Mayorkas, Speaker Johnson talked about the setback yesterday because it was a failed attempt to impeach him, a failed attempt because of a few Republicans, one of which is out of Wisconsin. And again, I don't necessarily think they got it wrong. They can revisit this issue later. Impeachment is a heavy step to take, but tolerating people who are unwilling to do their job is also a heavy ask of anyone on the other side of the political aisle.
Impeachment. I mean, what happened yesterday with the vote on Secretary Mayorkas? Why bring that to the floor if you didn't have the votes? And will you hold another vote to impeach him?
Yeah, on impeachment, last night was a setback, but democracy is messy. We live in a time of divided government. We have a razor-thin margin here, and every vote counts. Sometimes when you're counting votes and people show up when they're not expected to be in the building, it changes the equation. But listen, we have a duty and a responsibility to take care of this issue. We have to hold the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security accountable. Mayorkas needs to be held accountable. The Biden administration needs to be held accountable, and we will pass those articles of impeachment.
Yeah, so here's the thing that I think is most interesting about that. I said I was going to move on. I can't. Give me like 1 more minute, 2 more minutes. Put it up on the shot clock. What I think is so interesting is this seems to be the only avenue Republicans have to hold Biden and Democrats responsible for their inability to secure the border, their lack of desire to do it, whatever you want to call it, and now them trying to blame Republicans for the problem in the first place after years of denying it existed. There were years of the border's fine, the border's secure, everything's okay. It's sort of like when they told us that inflation was going to be transitory, and then eventually, oh yeah, no, inflation's here to stay. It's not transitioning back the way you want it to, so we're out of luck there. This is so fascinating to me because if it doesn't happen, and granted, it probably won't actually fix the border. Whoever gets put in charge next won't do anything different until Republicans are actually in charge of that process a little bit more. And so who's ever next to go will probably fail just as hard as long as Biden's in the White House. And then you just have a repeated cycle and probably more impeaching. And actually, that goes to the transition. The other big topic that I think people will be talking about for a long time to come is the case that starts tomorrow. Donald Trump is on trial in a way, I guess, whether or not the 14th Amendment is an acceptable way to remove him from primary ballots throughout the country. Make no mistake that if Colorado is to succeed there and they are to be allowed to do this and allowed to say that Trump is an insurrectionist, even though he's actually never been tried for insurrection, which is a weird, sort of bar. We're going to claim you're something, but no one's going to actually try to convict you of that thing we're claiming you are. That's an odd and a very weak legal argument. And I think it's probably the biggest reason this will fail. But if it succeeds, there are 25 other states that put some level of case out there to potentially remove Trump based on the 14th Amendment. And so if all of that occurs, can you imagine the likelihood that the other side of the political aisle will just try to do this too when the time comes? However exactly that works, I don't know. It might not even be 14th Amendment and claiming someone's an insurrectionist, but we see history repeat itself again and again and again in these worlds. It refuses to stop itself, actually. If Republicans succeed at something or Democrats succeed at something, the other side tries to weaponize it the next time they're in power to do it all over again. And in the back of their minds, they're probably all telling themselves, yeah, they did this to us. It's fine if we do it to them too. So I hope more than for any other reason, not to be a giant Trump fanboy or not to be a Trump hater or whatever you want to call me, I hope that for no other reason this fails other than it would be the beginning of, I think, a lot of things the United States has never seen and never believed we would see as far as the way that our political process could be disrupted by people other than you and I, other than how we vote, that we could be prevented from choosing the leader we want because someone tells us we can't pick that guy. Quick break, a lot more. Greg Collins filling in, 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
988 Wisconsin Lifeline. How can I help you?
Share hope, find purpose when you become a 988 Wisconsin Lifeline counselor. The 988 Wisconsin Lifeline provides free and confidential support to anyone experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis. Staffed by Family Services, 988 has experienced tremendous growth, and more statewide counselors are needed to answer calls, texts, and chats to the Lifeline. If you want to share hope and find purpose in your next job, apply now. You can work remotely from anywhere in Wisconsin. Training is provided and flexible hours are available. 988 Wisconsin Lifeline counselors enjoy competitive compensation and benefits packages. Most importantly, you can share hope and find purpose when you become a 988 Wisconsin Lifeline counselor. Apply today at 988lifelinecounselor.org. Family Services is an equal opportunity employer.
Paid for by grants from SAMHSA and the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
It's David Nason, your personal inspection pro from WTMJ's The Fix-It Show. I'm with my go-to basement repair guy, Chris Mancuso of Accurate Basement Repair. This is the team I personally recommend for leaky or cracked basements.
Wow, thanks, David. Our team at Accurate Basement Repair has been fixing leaky and cracked basements for the Fix-It listeners for over 20 years.
That's great, Chris. For more information about how to schedule a free inspection and estimate, check out AccurateBasementRepair.com because they're not just good, they're accurate.
Hi, I'm Mike Yancey from Yancey & Associates. We're passionate about continuing on our mission to help more Wisconsin businesses create more success. If you have any questions about our insurance products or just want a second opinion about your insurance or employee benefits, I invite you to check out ANSI.com, or better yet, give us a call at Yancey & Associates. And let's have a conversation about your business and how we can help you secure, protect, and grow your version of the American dream.
620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. Thrilled to be with you. A bunch of stuff to talk about, as always, out there in the world. I thought this was interesting. There's a brand new trend, full body deodorant. That's what they're saying is brand new. It's going to be a hot thing. I think TikTok and social media are talking about this. 23 million views for the hashtag full body deodorant. What is it? Well, it's like those spray things, and you just spray it everywhere, anywhere you think to spray it. I don't understand this move. I don't know if this is a young person move. Actually, you know what? I do know when I was younger, say like 8th grade dance version of me, you spray on way too much Axe body spray or something because you don't know the rules yet. You don't understand how the game should be played. Now I think the right way is just deodorant for the places you expect it to go, and then something called cologne, something called, perfume to put other places that is not necessarily the exact same smell as what's going on to protect you from the sweating. People seem to disagree on this. They like the idea of one full-body solution for all involved. I don't know if Aaron is a full-body deodorant guy. I didn't expect to ask him this, but is that something you do?
Oh, no, not at all. But okay. You know what? You're talking about the Axe deodorant, and I do remember being younger and not really realizing how deodorant was supposed to work and just dousing myself in Axe body spray. And I remember being in a basketball team, and you get into the locker room, and all you could smell was Axe body spray.
It was like Pigpen in Charlie Brown, but it was all Axe body spray that was surrounding you in that aura. We all did it. I did it at least 1 or 2 8th grade dances.
Yeah,
definitely. I'm sure I wasn't alone. Yeah.
No, not at all. And you know what? Right. That's why I'm hearing this. I'm kind of going, this isn't new. Axe was exactly that to me.
Yes, yeah, but eventually you get over it. I guess the big thing about the social media trend now is it's like adults that are saying they still want to do the dousing myself in the one smell thing. I don't get that. I do think that cologne is not used enough by a lot of us guys.
Yep.
And that's one of the first things if you have a lady in your life, like my wife will tell me, she loves that I wear cologne because she had boyfriends that didn't do it. And, it's an easy fix, fellas. Buy something that's in a bottle, spray it on yourself a couple times, live life. You'll be amazed at how awesome it goes. Other things out there I thought this was interesting. Half of us will buy our chocolate for Valentine's Day, plus other top candies in the 50 states. But chocolate is by far and away the lead. Also, roses, by far and away the lead as far as flowers go. I had a buddy of mine tell me just the other night that this is too predictable. You can't go flowers and chocolate. I've been married for 11 years now. You got to mix it up. You got to surprise her somehow. I don't know why you do that. I'm going to keep going with the tried and true because she seems very happy with it every time I do it. How about you, Aaron?
Oh, yeah, I'm the same exact way. Let's just keep it simple. Don't overdo it.
Right.
And it makes your life so much better.
Do something, maybe make a dinner reservation somewhere. That'll all be fine. You don't have to go above and beyond. Heart-shaped boxes of chocolates, as I said, number 1. The conversational hearts is number 2. 13 states actually prefer that. Hershey Kisses made the list. M&M's. I don't know if you saw this. There are breakup hearts out there. It's a box of typical Valentine's Day hearts, but all the messages are breaking up with someone. It's like it's you, not me, and versions of that on them. If anyone actually gives that to someone to end a relationship on Valentine's Day, I feel like that's uniquely cold. I feel like it might be humorous to some, but it's uniquely mean and probably shouldn't be the way you utilize those things.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I think that is just cold and mean, and I could never imagine doing something like that.
Although I guess I'll tell you that my nephew, who's much younger, he's I think 12 or something, has broken up with a girl via text messages before.
Yeah.
He's done these sort of things. So as a young man, you might think this is an easier way to get out of a relationship than doing it the honest way. So I could see it happening, depending on your age.
I've heard of some bad breakups in terms of texts or, you know, like telling the parent as opposed to the person, something like that. But yeah, that's a whole new way, to make somebody feel bad about a breakup.
You're going to be in a burn book for a while. All right, we'll take a break. A lot more in a bit. 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. Craig Collins filling in.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, your local family-owned developer of personal outdoor dreamscapes, has added the ultimate backyard feature. That's right, spend all summer, every summer on vacation in your own backyard with a classic in-ground swimming pool. You've dreamed about it. Now take your dream ideas to Outdoor Living Unlimited. Patios, decks, pergolas, outdoor kitchens, and now your own swimming pool. See it all at OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com, then put them to work for you. Outdoor Living Unlimited.
Meet Alan, who was diagnosed with sleep apnea.
I was what they called a mouth breather, and I would breathe at night with my mouth open.
And for about 8 years, Alan struggled with a CPAP machine. And then
I saw the Advent commercial, and I thought, well, what do you got to lose? This machine is miserable.
For most people, CPAP machines are miserable, but a simple breathing triangle solution from Advent can be life-changing.
And it really was, to me, it was amazing because I don't think I ever breathed that clear.
This is Dr. Madan Kandula. After having one of Advent's simple breathing triangle procedures, people are amazed at how freely and clearly they can breathe.
I'm happy with the procedure. I'm very glad I did it. I wish I would have done it 20 years ago. I could have avoided that machine I had to have laying next to the bed with the hose wrapped around my head.
Schedule your appointment at AdventKnows.com because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeanssitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
Discover wants everyone to feel special with 24/7 customer service as well as $0 fraud liability, which means you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Limitations apply.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
The next time they ask you what size tires you need, just go to richlawns.com.
That's Richlawns spelled with 2 N's.
No more trying to read that tiny writing on the side of your old tires or on the inside of your car door.
Just go to richlawns.com, click on the year button, then the make and model of your vehicle, and
the exact tire size you need.
In a multitude of brands and styles.
Yet all specific to your vehicle, because at Richlawns, there isn't a tire on the planet we can't get.
And every tire we install automatically comes with free flat tire repair, which means you're 100% covered, no questions asked.
The next time you're due for tire service, visit richlawns.com.
Because free flat tire repair automatically comes with every tire we install.
I'm Brett Matchke with Richlawns. You're due for service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlawns Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlawns.
.620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Thrilled to be with you. Bunch of stuff to talk about out there in the world. I do think it's funny. I saw a report that Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is planning on introducing a stripped-down bill that is just support for Israel and Ukraine after the border bill failed. My favorite part of this whole story is that they've been calling it the border bill because when you ask for $118 billion in spending and only $20 billion of that 118 is for the border in any capacity whatsoever, that's not a border bill. That's a very different plan than spending a majority of the money on the border. And what's even funnier about this is that if Chuck Schumer were willing to address just the border, to do a stripped-down bill the other way, the way that is not about aid to Ukraine or aid to Israel, there'd be a strong likelihood that it could pass. Now, granted, they'd have to come to some sort of agreement as to what actually securing the border looks like. And no, it's not spending a bunch of money on border agents who are going to help process more people into our country. That's not the right deterrent. That's, in fact, everything but a deterrent. But nonetheless, I do think this is interesting that it's almost a stubbornness that exists in politics that you don't see other places. A good example would be if you were at your job and you and some other coworker were assigned a task and you couldn't even agree on what order to do the tasks in. And so you tell them the absolute least important thing is the thing you're focused on, and they come back with a brand new set of plans that overly focuses even more on the thing you think you probably should wait to even discuss. It's not of the most pressing need. That is fascinating to me that that's a way in which they would go about this. And I think Chuck Schumer knows that you're going to get rejected. I think the only reason he's doing it the way he did it, which is border deal first, is so you can say publicly, the Republicans stopped us. The Republicans refused to allow us to secure the border. So now we're going to pass along something else where we expect to be said no to again. And they'll probably frame that as the Republicans refused to help Israel as opposed to refusing to entirely help Ukraine. And the other thing about Ukraine that I will mention, and I feel like I said this last week, they just admitted to some of their top defense ministry people trying to embezzle $40 million from the money they've been sent for ammunition, for certain things. They admitted this themselves. So who knows what other stuff could be going on. But at a time when they're saying, hey, some of our top people are trying to steal money that you're sending us that we're supposed to be spending on military equipment, mortar shells, and we're not spending it on that, maybe you should be a little bit more, patient, a little more secure, a little more weary of how exactly you send us money, and don't just send us another lump sum $60 million. Maybe go a different road. Maybe offer some checks and balances. If your kid gets a credit card for the first time and maxes it out in a month, and I know this is not a true comparison because one is obviously much more important than the other, but if they max it out in just 1 month, usually don't pay it all off and give it right back to them. Something else changes so that you make sure what actually is happening is as responsible as you want it to be. All right, one other quick thing, and then we'll take a break. I saw that it was announced the other day that King Charles has cancer. Exactly what type of cancer, I think, is still a mystery. Whether or not it's something that has a strong or small likelihood of being something that could kill him is unknown. We do know that it's not related to his prostate. He was in the hospital for something dealing with his prostate, and they said it was not connected to that. But King Charles, who just recently became the king after the very, very long run for the queen, and I know a lot of people don't really care about the royal family in the United States, but this is fairly surprising. If this is something where it is actually a very serious condition and King Charles is going to face, a life or death kind of illness, I imagine at some point we'll know about that. And I don't know why or how, but I imagine somehow people will start talking about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in some relation to this whole thing. So be on the lookout for that. But hopefully the king is okay, and hopefully he does well. All right, I'll take a break. A lot more in a bit. This is Craig Collins filling in, 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
Your weekly Bucks breakdown is back.
Jay Crowder's return is imminent.
Bucks Weekly on WTMJ.
You're reaching the point in the season where you do give your veteran the first crack at everything.
And a new year brings new faces.
I'm going to stay ready, and when my opportunities come, I'm going to try my best to keep knocking them down.
Get the latest news, analysis, and insight on your Milwaukee Bucks all season long. Bucks Weekly with Justin Garcia every Monday night at 8 on WTMJ. And catch the podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA, best-selling author and founder of the Neal Group. I have some questions for you. Who does your books? Hopefully not you. There are better things for you to do in running your business. Do you trust the numbers? Good numbers are critical for making good decisions. Are you getting the advice you need to minimize your taxes and put more money in your pocket? A good advisor makes suggestions to help your business grow and minimize taxes, not just put numbers on a form. Do your calls get returned and your questions answered? Many of our new clients tell us they love our quick response time. We have helped countless businesses increase their profits and lower stress. Get the advice you want and need to grow your business and minimize taxes. If you want to get started on the road to making more money and having less stress, visit neilgroup.net right now. That's NEAL group.net. The first meeting is free to see if we can help. Again, neilgroup.net.
It's the last resort that comes with a grueling and painful recovery. And from what I've been told, it never really feels quite natural. A total knee replacement may make the pain you're living with eventually go away, but it opens up a Pandora's box of other possible issues. And that's why surgeons who really do care will tell you that it's a last resort. There are other surgeons who cry, "Replace! Replace!" But the physicians you'll find at Rejuvenex are primarily concerned with relief. And you may find out that the relief we give you helps so much so that you may not need to get that total knee replacement. This is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics. Our FDA-approved pain treatments aid inflammation and lubricate your joints. And in most cases, insurance has been shown to cover the costs. At Rejuvenex, we can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins filling in. I love some of the texts I'm getting. 855-616-1620 is the phone number. You can call it. You can text it. You can interact with us during the show. 855-616-1620. Pretty awesome. A bunch of jokes from just one listener about Valentine's Day. Part of the joke, I know I could say it on the air, but it's a little gross. I'll save it for off the air between this person and I. He said he might take someone to Taco Bell, and then a gross joke was made. Again, I kind of thought it was funny. He also said that he would love to go places where other single people are because he's single or she's single, but there's not a lot of parking outside of Batteries Plus. And then finally, if anyone were to bring a wife, girlfriend, fiance to Fazoli's, which has very cheap, very good pasta, the fast food version of pasta. Although as an Italian, I probably shouldn't say that. My grandmother might be a little sad that I just called Fazoli's good, but if they're a sponsor, they're incredible. But anyway, if you go there, things might be a little bit too messy. I agree with that too, but I like that you're working out all of the ideas for your Valentine's Day with me via text. And I'd like for them to keep coming, 414, that is sending those in. That's awesome. By the way, anybody who's sending messages, and there aren't as many today, which is kind of interesting compared to when I was filling in last week, that's upset that I'm here, don't worry. I'll be gone at 3 o'clock. I don't know when I'll be back, but I appreciate at least the fact that you're listening and reacting enough to want to text me and text our station that you're not a fan. Because it's always good to stay humble, right? And in this industry, it's very easy to stay humble. And actually, someone just sent to me, finally, a talk show host with common sense and integrity. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Quite exactly the opposite take. So I love that about the world we live in, is how far, how many different opinions we all have out there in the world. And the one thing that I think is vitally important, and I'll just say this on whatever soapbox I'm on, and then we got to take a break and I got to get out of here. Having opinions is good, and telling people their opinions aren't allowed is bad. It doesn't mean that I'm going to agree with you just because you have thoughts that are not mine, but the ability for us to have different thoughts is inherently good in our society. For some reason, I feel like some people don't believe that anymore. Something about some of the ways we speak and talk to each other now, especially behind the keyboard and the computer screen, makes me believe that some out there hate the idea that opinions that are not theirs exist in other people. That's probably not good for society. I'll just throw that out. But anyway, keep it coming. I enjoy it, and I love interacting with you. Genuinely, 855-616-1620 is that phone number. All right, we'll take a break. A lot more coming up. Greg Collins filling in on 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
I had a really strange experience today.
Strange how?
A man walked into the store who was only about 2.5 feet tall.
What?
And he was carrying a bow and arrows.
Did he sort of have a baby face?
Yes. How did you know?
Sarah, that was Cupid.
Oh!
Did he give us a thumbs up?
Yes, 3 times.
So tell us, what are the Cupid-approved gifts for Valentine's 2024?
He loved our diamond stud earrings starting at $198.
We have 186 different styles and sizes.
And we have more than 1,400 pair in stock.
And Cupid loved our $98 diamond pendant.
It looks like it's worth a lot more.
And every purchase of $298 or more includes a fabulous free travel case to safely transport all of your jewelry.
But mostly, he loved the 4-carat total weight wow diamond engagement ring for less than $4,000.
Welcome to Kessler's for Valentine's Day.
Cupid approved.
Find the Kesslers nearest you at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Your hometown hub for everything that matters. The latest news, traffic, weather, and sports on Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 1 o'clock, it's 41 degrees, filtered sunshine this afternoon with a high of 47. Tonight, mostly cloudy and mild with a low of 39. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Greg Matzik. Wisconsin Congressman Mike Gallagher under fire from fellow Republicans for voting against impeaching U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas.
On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 216. The resolution is not adopted.
Congressman Gallagher, one of 3 surprising Republican no votes on the House floor Tuesday night. But it wasn't just Gallagher's no vote that was a surprise to Republican Speaker Mike Johnson. It was a Democrat's yes vote as well.
Explaining his embarrassing defeat in the impeachment vote, Speaker Mike Johnson said it was a surprise that the Democrats produced perfect attendance.
When you're counting votes and people show up when they're not expected to be in the building, it changes the equation.
Texas Democrat Al Green returned from surgery, wheeled into the House chamber in hospital scrubs to vote no. But when Republican Majority Leader Steve Scalise returns from his cancer treatment, Johnson insists.
We will pass those articles of impeachment. We'll do it on the next round.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Well, the person in custody connected to a double murder in Elkhorn is maintaining his innocence. Criminal defense attorney Russell Jones has been retained by the accused family. He tells TMJ4 News.
Even though he's been arrested as a person of interest, he wants the public to keep an open mind because he emphatically denies any involvement in this crime.
Jones says his client has not yet been charged with the crime, but expects charges will be filed within the next week. The Packers are beginning the search for their next CEO to replace Mark Murphy. Under team bylaws, Murphy is required to retire from his position in July of 2025. The team has hired the same national search firm, which has recommended Murphy to replace Bob Harlan in 2007. The search committee expects to take 6 to 9 months to whittle down potential candidates before making recommendations to the team's board of directors. And thousands of students in Wisconsin are set to get free driver's ed lessons.
The nonprofit Common Ground leading an effort to get students in Wisconsin who have free or reduced lunch to receive grants to take driver's ed. The money comes from a $6 million bill signed by Governor Evers in December for students to take the courses. Lead organizer and executive director of Common Ground, Jennifer O'Hare, tells WTMJ they listened to over 900 people and they said their main issue was reckless driving, a major cause being lack of driver's ed.
Everyone should have access to driver's ed, but the perfect solution is not really attainable right now. So this is a great start.
Julian Johnson, WTMJ News.
The program is expected to go into effect in July. About 13,000 kids will be eligible for grants. And from the MKE to the PHL, a new nonstop flight from Milwaukee Mitchell International to Philadelphia will begin service this spring. Frontier Airlines will offer the service on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays beginning May 16th. Tickets start as low as $19 one way. Last month, Frontier also announced new nonstop service from Milwaukee to Raleigh-Durham. That service begins on May 16th. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. All the indices in the green this afternoon. The Dow up about 175 points at 38,695. The Nasdaq up today about 143 points at 15,752. And the S&P 500 up about 40.5 points, just under 5,000 at 49,9479. News sponsored by Annex Wealth Management's Money Talk. Check it out Saturdays at 10 on WTMJ. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 1:03.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey. But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you who are just ready to change the look of their home, you can price it right. and you'll find a lot of it at Design Exchange. Beautiful frame pieces by a number of notable artists, and new ones pop in all the time. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
In Heartland, you're going to find a focus on distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original artwork, along with tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. In Pewaukee, the focus is on kitchen, outdoor, and garden decor, and all of it is priced at 25 to 40% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value.
Design Exchange.
The largest industrial trade show in Wisconsin for engineers, facility managers, and building grounds and maintenance professionals is the PFMA Plant Engineering and Maintenance Expo. Free seminars, product and service demos, and the latest innovations all under one roof.
Skip the show day lines and go to pfmainc.com for fast and free pre-registration. The PFMA Expo, free with free parking. February 21st and 22nd at a new location, Washington County Fair Park in West Bend.
WTMJ's John Mercure here for senior real estate specialist Bruce and Jean Nemovitz. If you've been holding off on selling your home or downsizing your parents' home, now's the time to contact Bruce and Jean. You deserve to enjoy the lifestyle you've earned. Learn how their team will guide you every step of the way. Join me at their free in-person seminar, March 5th, Berner Botanical Gardens. Doors open at 8:30, and you'll get critical info from local senior community representatives. Register at brucesteam.com, taking you from overwhelmed to I can do this. brucesteam.com.
The Bucs are finally home again tomorrow night to face Minnesota after going 1-4 on the road. Capped with another loss last night in Phoenix against the Suns, 114-106. Milwaukee played shorthanded with Damian Lillard out, Brook Lopez as well, and then Chris Middleton stepped on Kevin Durant's foot during the game and left the arena in a boot. College buckets, the Badgers lost at Nebraska, then again against Purdue on Sunday. Chance, though, to snap the two-game skid tonight against last-placed Michigan in Ann Arbor. Tip-off is 6 p.m. for that Big Ten matchup. And the Packers get a new linebackers coach in Anthony Campanile. He held the same job in Miami but was replaced there with, wait for it, former Packers defensive coordinator Joe Barry. I'm Bob Brainerd, WTMJ Sports.
Time for a Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic update. On-time travel throughout the system this afternoon. Little peek of the sun here, too, amidst the fog and clouds that have burned off a little bit. Typical delays, 43 southbound from Brown Deer to downtown. Normally an 11-minute ride. Typical construction delay, that'll run you 14 this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
While you're navigating the roads as quickly and safely as possible, if you see something we should know about, call the WTMJ Hall Mazda Traffic Tip Line at 414-238-9329.
Time for your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly cloudy, mild the rest of the day. A low of 39, up into the 50s tomorrow under cloudy skies. Breezy as well. Might see a bit of rain and a rumble of thunder with a high of 54. Friday, partly cloudy, breezy with a high of 52. 41 degrees in Madison. It's 40 in Green Bay and 41 in Waukesha, 40 at the Avenue. I'm Greg Matzik. Siding Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 1:07.
It's the middle of the day on WTMJ. Come join the conversation on the WTMJ Talk and Text line at 855-616-1620. Now, here's Craig Collins.
That's right, 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins, your host, filling in today. Thrilled to be here. Thank you for the kind things people are saying, and even the woman who called our producer to say that they're enjoying me. And also, thank you for the negative things. I don't mind either one. I'm totally fine with it. I saw an interesting article in a couple places, actually, to be honest with you. But one of them was the Milwaukee Sentinel that was talking about the lack of bystander help that we see in our society today and why that exactly exists. And of course, the reason for this discussion is because of the woman who died outside near a bus stop at like 6 o'clock-ish, I think 5 o'clock at night, just recently in the area. And so some of the first reasons that a lot of the experts give for why bystanders don't help when they see something bad happening This could be a fight that you think is getting out of hand, anything that you see occurring that you think, man, if it was me, I wish someone would be rushing to try to help me, to try to prevent whatever's going on from happening. It's fear. The first thing is just fear of being harmed. They also aren't sure that what they're seeing is what they're seeing. A lot of people doubt that. They think that, all right, from my perspective, this looks like it might be bad, fight or whatnot, but who knows what's actually going on there. Now, granted, a lot of this wouldn't apply to a woman laying down behind a snowbank near a bus stop that seems unresponsive. That would be a more clear cut. This person's in need of help. I should probably help them. But I think one of the other things that's most interesting to this discussion, and granted, not perfect again, as far as the example of what happened here recently, but in general, is what happened in New York. The Marine, Daniel Penny, who wound up subduing a homeless man by the name of Jordan Neely for 6 minutes via a chokehold, that then caused Jordan Neely to die, or at least that's the version of events we know right now, is causing him to go to court and maybe be tried for manslaughter. And you can say to yourself, you could scream at your radio right now, as I just brought that example up, how dare you compare those two things together? They're not remotely the same. How dare you? There's some version of belief in a lot of people today that the minute you get involved in something, you could wind up to be blamed for some part of it. It doesn't mean that you would think that what happened between Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely is right, is wrong. He'll have his day to defend himself in court, to say why what he did is what he did, why people on the train believed they were in enough danger to actually be calling 911 and saying that much, which is something that also happened there. But anyway, no matter what the level of stakes is, no matter what the level of response it would take to fix a situation you're seeing out there in the world, a lot of people know that in today's society, a video that goes out into the ether, into the internet, can tell a narrative that could be untrue. It could be a simplified version, not all of the moments that matter. There's a bunch of reasons why, and it's very sad because it almost feels like our society has turned into the very last episode of Seinfeld. And I mean that as silly as it can possibly sound, but also as genuine as it can possibly sound. And granted, the last episode of Seinfeld, a lot of people not fans. But what they were making a joke about was those four individuals, the stars of the show, not helping someone in need and finding humor instead of the human element to it. And I think in today's society, a lot of us also see things in real life and almost view them like we're seeing them behind a screen. More often than not, actually, we usually do. Subduing to death was a text I just got from the 414. I don't know, and you actually don't know right now, exactly why Jordan Neely died. So if you want me to talk about this story, it's not in the news today. I will tell you that. There is going to be a debate in a courtroom as to whether or not the cause of Jordan Neely's death was a 6-minute chokehold or was something else. I'm not telling you it wasn't a 6-minute chokehold. I'm just telling you that there actually is debate about that. And if you don't believe me, and if you think I'm a terrible person for even saying it out loud, go ahead and look it up. And you'll see for yourself that there are some that seem to believe, even those who would have intimate knowledge of this, people who would have done things like an autopsy, that there might not be as clear-cut of a conversation as you think there. But again, it's an imperfect comparison to the fact that a lot of people don't get involved. On that subway, it was just Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny who were interacting with each other, and a lot of the other people on that subway didn't pull anyone off of anyone. They just filmed it with their phones. And this whole conversation is in the Milwaukee Sentinel-Journal because people didn't help someone dying on the side of the street. And I do think it's because we so often see our human experience through the lens of a camera. And the best example I can give to that, and certainly lower stakes, very different conversation, is when someone sets a record in the world of sports and you see a viral photo of everyone holding up their camera and filming it as opposed to just experiencing it. The amount of things that we experience today, and that's not all of us. I bet you a lot of people listening to the show today have no interest in pulling their phone out to record something and would rather experience it as a person. But a lot of people do. And so I think that part of the problem is that we have that detached reality syndrome, and it's gotten worse over the last few years in any situation. I don't think that anyone would have believed on that train, again, to use the New York example for one more minute, that Daniel Penny would have hurt them. And so if someone thought that Daniel Penny was holding Jordan Neely for too long and didn't behave the way that all these data points say we behave now, which is to not involve ourselves more often than not, then someone could have pulled them apart, maybe saved a life. Again, I don't know, because there is a debate as to whether or not what actually happened that day was the reason for someone's death. All right, I want to play one other thing. I didn't even mean to dive into that. I know it's controversial, to say the least. This is interesting to me and not really controversial at all. Yes, it's politics, and after this, we'll take a break. Nikki Haley lost to nobody in Nevada in a race that didn't matter. It was a primary in Nevada that's not awarding any delegates, because they also do a caucus in Nevada where just Trump is going to be on a ticket and Haley won't be, which means she's definitely not going to win the caucus, and Trump will wind up winning the delegates in Nevada. She decided to run in the primary, which would have been a symbolic defeat of Donald Trump, who was not on the ballot. Some people actually thought he was removed from it, like in Colorado or anywhere else, and that's not the case. But Nikki Haley didn't just lose. She lost big. She lost huge to nobody. And that's got to be the most embarrassing setback we've seen in politics in a while. Here we go.
Haley, without Trump's name even on the ballot, still loses to the none option by better than 2-1. So that is a tough reality for her.
That is a tough reality.
Trump isn't even on the ballot, and she loses, and it's a closed primary. So it really reinforces what we've been seeing, that when you're just talking about Republican voters, she's really getting clobbered.
She is not supported by a vast majority of Republican voters. If 63.2% of closed primary, that means actual registered Republicans, decided to vote for none of the above instead of Nikki Haley. It's the weirdest thing I saw is even a headline. None of these candidates wins primary race in Nevada, gets no delegates, because, again, delegates are not going to be awarded for that thing, but certainly a setback. And this comes after multiple other setbacks for Nikki Haley. Anyone making the argument that she's a better candidate than Trump is simply ignoring how very different Republicans themselves see those two individuals. A quick break, a lot more. 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. Craig Collins filling in.
Be sure to load up on Vienna Beef hot dogs for this weekend's big football game. The official hot dog of the Milwaukee Brewers is Vienna Beef. Manufactured and produced since 1893. Available at select grocers and hot dog stands near you.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, clicked on the blue button. One of our senior loan consultants, Brad, sent them a credit-verified pre-approval the same day, and then upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. They made a couple offers without success, and then Brad told them about AccuNet's new property-specific pre-approval, where we might be able to include those magic words, "no appraisal required." When they wrote their next offer, several $1,000s over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their property-specific rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval included that most powerful phrase, "no appraisal required," and the sellers picked Steve and Ashley's offer over several others. If you think all mortgage lenders and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with a local mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win and save money, too. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Home and auto insurance continues to get more turbulent. Here's Jeff Salasinski, VP of Insurance Operations at R&R Insurance.
Thank you, Vince. It's hard to remember a time when the home and auto insurance market was this complex. Insurance companies are getting out of the personal insurance business altogether. The cumulative effect of inflation on home repairs, auto repairs, and used cars is staggering. Higher deductibles are being applied to roofs for perils like wind and hail, meaning more out-of-pocket expense for the consumer. Insurance companies are extremely focused on writing only profitable new business and raising premiums to cover the increased cost of claims.
So, Jeff, what's the solution?
As a business insurance top 100 firm, our deep industry knowledge and our team of professionals carefully and accurately design insurance programs that protect our clients and their most valuable assets while being competitive on price. At R&R Insurance, we know home and auto insurance.
That's Jeff from R&R Insurance. Thanks for the great info, Jeff.
620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Brian Noonan, a friend of mine who I worked with at some other radio stations, will be on in about an hour or so with me to talk about what's coming up on WTMJ Nights. He is your host of WTMJ Nights here starting at 7 o'clock and a buddy. of mine, even though we don't agree on some stuff, which you'll notice actually when we start to discuss those things. I thought this was interesting. A 30-second Super Bowl commercial this year cost $7 million, which is basically the same as last year. Advertisers do think it's worth it. Last year's game was watched by 115.1 million viewers. Actually, the world of sports is unique for a variety of reasons in today's society, more so than ever before. It's one of the only things that anyone watches live. And now streaming services are jumping on the bandwagon of sports. ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers, the Discovery, I think, network have decided to launch a streaming platform that'll let you watch a whole lot of sports and a whole lot of things all on one platform, all in one place, which is the biggest negative, I think, to streaming platforms now. It is sort of funny that however many years ago, when everybody had cable and no one really did streaming, that we paid one kind of big price and we got everything in the same place. And now we pay smaller prices in a lot of different places, probably winds up being more total money, and we get less stuff. Depending on how you do it. But I do think this is interesting. The newly formed streaming app, I think, might yet to be named. But it's something that will be very, very much reliant on live sports as the calling card of the platform, and live sports on the go, live sports in your phone, live sports in your computer, however you want it. And it's the only thing left. I mean, we don't even really watch politics the same way that we used to, or news the same way that we used to. There's almost nothing that feels like it needs to be on demand and that you can't get it some other way in some other format, some other platform. Sports is the only thing that if you miss the game, you don't feel good about watching it the next day. You don't feel good about informing yourself later on whatever was going on there. So I do think it's an interesting announcement. I do think it's something that's probably going to be fairly beneficial to the people involved in this whole thing, and probably something that causes a whole lot of people to sign up and whatever. But I do think that they need to keep figuring that out, how to put everything on the same platform, because without that, we're going to keep getting annoyed. Although I'll say this is not a commercial. They're not paying me to do it. I do have T-Mobile, and T-Mobile gives me access to MLB TV for free. That's owned by Major League Baseball. I imagine that's not going to go anywhere, no matter what other streaming services get created. And I love it. I'm a huge fan of that because I can watch it anytime, anywhere I am. And I watch a lot of Yankee games out of market by having MLB TV. If I was in market, I'd hate it because everything's blacked out. So for MLB TV to be valuable to you, you can't actually live the place where your favorite team is, which is, that's a weird drawback to the whole equation. But all right, I'll take a break on that. A lot more. This is Craig Collins filling in, 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
Start planning for your retirement today so you enjoy retirement tomorrow. Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday mornings at 7, where Tony Drake and his Education First team discuss retirement trends, taxes, inflation, and Social Security benefits to help you achieve a more secure financial future.
Join us this week as we take a look at the federal election and the impact it may have on your retirement.
Retirement Ready with Tony Drake on WTMJ.
Oh, how great it would feel to have your 20-year-old knees, shoulders, hips, and back.
You know, you don't think about your pains when you're in your 20s or 30s, but you wish you could get that body back when you're in your 60s. I think QC did that for me.
For Patrick, here in Milwaukee, it started with a simple phone call to QC Kinetics.
One day I was driving and I just heard the radio and I pulled over and took the number and I called them when I got home.
Maybe that's you and you're listening right now. Why wait? QC Kinetics Regenerative Treatments uses your body's own natural biologics to heal and restore damaged tissue without invasive surgery or harmful drugs. And as for the results,
my knees are as good as they were when I was in my 20s. I'm really happy with what happened.
For Patrick, it's like QC Kinetics turned back the clock. Now it's your turn. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474. Greg Matzek here for Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac with some good news. The auto show sale is on. Perfect timing to connect with Holiday to explore all that's new in automotive, get in on enticing offers, get more for your trade, and navigate today's car market confidently. Shop an impressive selection of new models from Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC, or check out the incredible value and peace of mind benefits included in a GM certified pre-owned vehicle. Whatever your interest, Team Holiday's welcoming, relaxed attitude and passion for helping and delighting guests makes fans of drivers from all over. And I'm one of those loyal fans, and I know from my own experience that you'll be in great hands with Wisconsin's #1 Buick and GMC dealer and the Badger State's top-ranked GM certified pre-owned dealer on your side. Accolades are per 2023 Buick and GMC zone sales records. Find yours and discover the difference during the auto show sale at Holiday Chevrolet, Buick and GMC, Highway 41 and 23 in Fond du Lac, and at holidaygm.com. It's worth the trip.
.620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins, filling in for the day. Happy to be here. Glad to have you with us. Interact. Tell me I'm a moron. Tell me you love me. Do whatever you want to do. But actually, add substance if you don't mind, and then I'll throw those texts out on the air. You can text us at 855-616-1620, 855-616-1620. Instead of talking about how embarrassing the Nevada election was for Nikki Haley, you should be talking about how embarrassing this is for the GOP to be supporting a lying, indicted, narcissistic, sexual assaulting guy. That was a text from 262 just a bit ago. There's a lot of roads to go, and a lot of times you'll be, in response to this text, by the way, a lot of times you'll be told, oh, that's called a whataboutism, and that's easy, that's lazy. Biden has been accused of sexual assault. I just want you to know that. He's not been, convicted of doing it. He hasn't been brought to court, per se, for it, but he has been accused of it. There were people that came forward that said negative things about Biden. Of course, Bill Clinton is an example you use in that world, et cetera, et cetera. Beyond that, all the other stuff that you said there, lying, I hate to break it to you, and I hope this is not the first time you've heard this, but all of the politicians lie to us constantly. They do it somewhat egregiously in today's world. I feel like they were better at lying before, and now they're just real bad at it, and they just expect us not to know it. But they lie a lot, and it's all of them. It's not just Trump. Trump does lie, but everybody lies a lot. And I think the biggest reason that Trump does have the amount of support he has within the Republican Party is people believe he is more capable of getting things done than anybody else they would send to Washington. Certainly than Nikki Haley, who did have a real embarrassing loss in Nevada when she ran on a primary where no delegates are going to be awarded for winning it, and she lost to none of the above. That's bad. I feel like, you know what, there's not more embarrassing things that happen to you in your life than when people pick no one over you. It's like if you go to an 8th grade dance and no one wants to dance with you. That's the version of Nikki Haley and her experience the other night. It was bad. And I do think it's interesting that a majority of people who support Nikki Haley actually sound more like Democrats than like conservatives, or certainly not true independents. But fair enough. On your text, I went ahead and answered it. I'll go ahead and keep doing that throughout the show. I thought this was interesting. Milwaukee's Common Council voted unanimously to approve a resolution aimed at changing protocol for first responders. This is, of course, after the tragic death of 49-year-old Jolene Waldriff, who died near a bus stop last month when first responders, emergency services didn't get out of the vehicle to look for her. That is obviously something they need to do differently, and exactly how you change that without putting anyone in danger, which is probably the one thing that they said was the reason for the protocol in the first place, is that, you don't necessarily always get out and wander away from a vehicle if you're not sure if your safety would be compromised. Granted, it was like 5 o'clock at night, so I don't know that you'd necessarily say that there. But I imagine that this will be a overwhelmingly good thing. And it was an obvious thing. And when stuff gets unanimously approved like this, you think to yourself, man, why did it take something like this to happen to get us to this place to begin with? All right. One other thing I want to talk about. I can't help it. Tucker Carlson is going to sit down with Vladimir Putin, and people are reacting. People are freaking out a lot of places. And there's two common narratives that occur here. The first one is, how dare Tucker Carlson who has a unique, say, influence on people of a certain voting persuasion. He's very popular with conservatives, is another way to say it. He's got unique influence on them. So how dare he do this, and how dare he influence those people more? We've gotten very comfortable calling people that we disagree with stupid. And what I mean by that, and it's not necessarily something that I'm telling you to stop doing, but I don't think it's true. I don't think that everyone who you disagree with is dumb. I actually think a vast majority of Americans, when challenged appropriately, may be able to see the forest for the trees. They may be able to understand the issue. So if anyone, Tucker Carlson or CNN or whoever, sits down with Vladimir Putin, it doesn't mean that we will be brainwashed immediately when we see this thing, if you like him or agree with him on a variety of issues, because we should expect more from the intelligence of our society. However laughable that is when I say that to some people, or naive it sounds, it's true. We should do it. Actually, even though I don't agree with him a lot, something I very much respect about Jon Stewart, and I use this example a lot in radio, maybe I shouldn't, but when Jon Stewart said something about thinking that Wuhan lab that studied coronavirus may have leaked coronavirus in Wuhan, which is where COVID started, Jon Stewart's words, not mine, for anyone that gets mad at them. He was attacked by a lot on the left, and he said the only way to get rid of these arguments is to shine light on them, is to not ignore them. He said the same thing about Kanye West and anti-Semitism that Kanye seemed to be spouting. Don't reject him, don't bury him, don't remove him from platforms. Talk to him, try to convince him that he's wrong. Don't just give up. And so, again, and I don't even know how challenging or interesting the Tucker Carlson and Vladimir Putin interview will be, but I do know that just rejecting it on its premise is not smart. That is stupid. You got to at least hear it out. If you think it's important, go watch it. Go, whenever it actually debuts, go have a more informed opinion about it would be my reaction. And then the other thing I think is interesting is a lot of mainstream media claimed that Tucker was lying when he said that no one really asked Putin for an interview, that, a lot of mainstream has a lot of interest in putting him on television, and he just doesn't say yes to those. Tucker Carlson is now actually facing sanctions and potentially travel bans from the European Union because of his willingness to interview Vladimir Putin. I wonder if somehow, some way, other organizations that would have contemplated this would be aware that this is the reaction the European Union would take, and if they would have been willing to do it too. Would CNN have been banned and sanctioned if they chose to sit down with Putin? I wonder, genuinely, but Tucker, and that's real, Newsweek and a lot of people are reporting it, are contemplating very, very soon trying to offer some amount of punishment for Tucker Carlson even being willing to sit down and talk to the leader of Russia. Again, a uniquely scary person who disappears people on a regular basis. Not a good person by any stretch of the imagination. All right, we'll take a break on that. A lot more coming up. 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. Craig Collins filling in.
Hi, folks. This is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With the weather getting colder, our prices get even hotter. And at our showroom, you'll see all the top brands of lighting and ceiling fans, such as Visual Comfort, Monte Carlo, and more. Our new in-store visual technology will allow you to find every light and fan from every major brand, including their price and description. And our prices are always the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for Dad and the kids, and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Saturday and is located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Our mission is to protect and uphold our reputation. At Semper Fi, it's the banner we all march under, because the reputation we earn and uphold belongs to all of us. And without a strong reputation in the exterior remodeling business, you're here today and gone tomorrow. And when you've earned a good reputation, that's what makes the difference in value. It's the little extra that you get for the price. And that assurance is actually what counts the most, because it means the good money you're spending with us is not going to go to waste. A roof you can rely on, with a warranty that has a backbone, Craftsman quality airtight window and door installations, brick and stone masonry that's clean and sharp, and new siding that's been known to stop traffic. And it's all backed by a team that over the last 20 years have put a lot of heart and soul into building a reputation that you can believe in. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
620 WTMJ Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins filling in. I love a couple texts that I just got. And you can text, you can get involved in the show at any time. 855-616-1620. 855-616-1620. Someone just texted me and said, back in 2020, Biden jumped into the race late. Is there anyone on the GOP side that could jump into the race late so that we vote for them and not none of the above? It was a joke from Brewster's Millions. I appreciate the joke. Here's the thing, and it might be bad news to those that think that Trump is unelectable. And I don't think that by any stretch of the imagination. You'll be able to tell in a second. Trump got the most votes of any sitting president in the history of our country, a record-setting amount of votes. And the things that Trump was at that point in time and the things that Trump is today are very similar. Some people, mostly Democrats, will scream and yell about January 6th specifically, but the way in which Trump has now been attacked in courtrooms in 4 different cases, 2 of which are about the exact same issue, has only emboldened supporters. It has not depleted them. It has not made them run away. A lot of people are waiting for those cases to play out in court before maybe potentially changing their mind. But I don't even think that happens because a majority of people say that they think the cases themselves are unfounded. So I do think it's sort of amusing that people think that Trump is not electable because Trump's brand has not changed. You know whose brand has changed profoundly in the last 3 years? Biden's. Biden's mental capacity has been under fire on a daily basis. Here, you know what? Actually, I'll play this. In reaction to that text, let's play Karl Rove, who popped up on Fox Business and was absolutely trying to say that he would rather not have Trump as the Republican nominee. Again, a thing you hear a lot. I think you hear it from some of the other hosts on this very station. And yet the thing he says right here at the beginning of this take is, to me, the most important part of the take, because who is likely to win between Trump and Biden? Every data point right now says Trump. Here we go.
Biden's memory problems. I mean, the other day he had a meeting talking about how shortly after becoming president in 2021, he had a G7 or G8 meeting, and he had a conversation with Francois Mitterrand, who died in 1996. So, I just, for something inside me says somebody's going to wake up on that side, Jill Biden or maybe a sister, Valerie Biden Owen, and say, Joe, this is not the way for you to go down in the history books. Step aside, let somebody else be chosen at the convention, and let somebody else go into the lists against Donald Trump in the fall. I just think the Democrats are not going to allow this to continue.
You think that's how it's going to happen? Somebody close to the president, a family member, goes to him and says, just like they went to Nixon and say, "Time's up, Mr. President, step aside."
Yeah, well, Nixon, it was Senator Barry Goldwater who led a group of senators to say your time is up. But I think Biden is impervious to that kind of input. I think it would have to be a family member. And look, I don't know. This may be hope rather than an expectation. This may be what I think would be best for him and best for the country and, frankly, best for the Democrats. I mean, Joe Biden thinks he is the only person who can beat Donald Trump in the Democratic Party. He may be the only person who can lose to Donald Trump in the Democratic Party.
I find that fascinating as a point. And I love that I just got a text. You're messed up. Facts are all wrong, Trumper. Tell me what facts I got wrong. Please go ahead. Karl Rove has a point there that is completely lost on one side of the political aisle. And it's just how deeply unpopular Biden has become with his own team, his own side. Young voters don't want to vote for him. A lot of people don't think he's mentally capable, even more so than Trump. This is real. And honestly, that thing that was just referenced there, I know this is old, but I'm going to play it. This is our president talking about how he had a conversation with someone who died in 1996 when he went to a G8 in 2021. This same person has introduced himself walking into an ice cream store as a senator. Whether or not his brain is aware that it's 2024 is actually a validly debatable conversation. Here is that example of him saying that Mitterrand is someone that he had just talked to. Again, hasn't been president of France since 95 and died in 96.
People
pled guilty. You know, right after I was elected, I went to what they call a G7 meeting, all the NATO leaders. It was in the south of England. And I sat down and I said, America's back. And Mitterrand from France looked at me and said, said,
what'd he say?
You know, how long are you back for?
All right, that's not all that convincing. How long you been back for? By the way, my favorite part of that audio is that he corrected himself when he said that Mitterrand was from Germany. No, he's from France, when he's not president of anywhere and not on this earth for almost 30 years. That is a uniquely damaged mind, people. And that is not a one-off example of a uniquely damaged mind. And that's what matters more than anything else. Yes, Trump has gaffes too. I just got a text about Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi and that, mix-up. Yes, he does. I'm not going to pretend he doesn't. But Biden has 20 for every one of Trump's and every 0 of someone maybe younger than Trump. And that's not a good look no matter who you're running against. A Biden, I think, would lose to a potato at this point. I really do genuinely believe that. I think Trump is in a uniquely powerful position, not just because of his popularity and the things that people on a certain side of the aisle think have made him more popular, but also because of how terrible of a job Biden is doing. And if you don't agree with that, if you don't see it, I think you're blinding yourself, or you're letting your Trump hate be so strong that you can't see just how unpopular, just how bad the data is telling us Biden has been doing. All right, quick break, a lot more. This is Craig Collins filling in, 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
As an independent tire and service center, our loyalty is to you, not the manufacturer.
It's the tire manufacturer's goal to design a superior tire.
But it's our job to ensure the right tires are properly installed on your vehicle.
A service our family has been independently providing for the past 2 generations. So make no mistake about it, our loyalty is to you.
And the dozens of tire brands we carry, like Goodyear, General, and Pirelli,
or Continental, Kelly, and Dunlop, well, that's for you too.
Because we won't know what type of tire you need until you get here.
So instead, we carry them all.
Because we install them all.
And every tire we install automatically comes with free flat tire repair.
Which means you're 100% covered.
No questions asked.
I guess you could call it family tradition.
Be safe, buckle up, and hey.
Always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Richlands. Your
due for service.
Richlands Tire and Service. Such a refreshing change. Richlands.
With inflation affecting so many families, the super affordable Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford is more popular than ever. WTMJ's John Mercure here. I love the Mind Chef. It's big food, big fun. And check this out. The Mind Chef has lowered the price on their Wednesday and Friday fish fry. The cod is all you can eat. It's just $9.99. Now the shrimp, perch, and poor man's lobster are all $9.99 and all you can eat. Don't pay $16 to $20 for a fish fry. It's just $9.99 at the Mind Chef. Wow. Build your own burger or chicken sandwich today with a pile of hot fries for under $10. Desserts are buy one, get one free. I love that. Every Thursday, buy one pizza, get one free. Order pizza today for your loyal employees and pick it up tomorrow. They're gonna love it. Happy hour is 2 till 5 with half-price drinks and appetizers. The super affordable Mind Chef restaurant on Main Street, downtown Hartford, and just off the interstate in Oshkosh. Walk in today. Enjoy the all-you-can-eat fish fry for under $10.
Some things are fine to buy from a vending machine, but despite what a certain national online company tells you, a car's not one of them.
Let's see. Cheese Doodles, Mr. Nougat Bar. Oh, here we go. Green 4-door hatchback. Honey, we're gonna need some more quarters.
Sure, they make it seem convenient, but it won't be so convenient if you have a problem with the vehicle you buy. And if it's after 7 days, good luck. Adam member dealers also let you search online. And unlike those national companies, you get to see the vehicle in person and test drive it before you buy it. You also have the assurance that the vehicle's been thoroughly tested, and if any issue does come up, your local Adam member dealer is right here to service it. And can also provide low financing and top dollar for your trade. Think about that before you take a chance with their so-called vending machine.
What? It's stuck! No! Oh, rats!
Start your search at adamm.com.
620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins filling in. 855-616-1620 is the number to call, the number to text. Get involved however you'd like. 855-616-1620. I saw one that looked very interesting. Maybe I should take a dementia test. Just came into. I'm good. I feel just fine. Thank you for the concern, though. I imagine that was just genuine concern. I saw this one. I think this is an interesting text and actually has substance, so I like it. What's sad about our election choices is that both sides have a full of themselves attitude. One is a known narcissist, and the other has so much pride that he won't step down even though he should. What a depressing thing for our country. I find it interesting, the difference there, because you could call both of those things narcissism. What I think is interesting about Biden specifically is that in 2016, he really wanted to run. And if you know anything about what happened behind closed doors, he was told not to run by Obama and other people, and that it was Hillary Clinton's time. And leading up to that election, everyone thought that Hillary Clinton was going to easily win and defeat Trump, and that, of course, didn't happen. Then 2020 comes around, and it almost seems like everyone's convinced that Trump will be reelected. My opinion of the Democratic Party at the time, and I know people are going to disagree with this, who will tell me that there was, the fix was in and all that. And I know that a whole lot of conservatives believe that. And I need more proof to tell you on the radio or in my own personal life that that's something that I believe, because of right now, I've not seen enough of that proof. But anyway, I don't want to devolve it there and get those people mad at me too. I will say that in 2020, I think Biden surprised his own party by winning that race. They basically buried him because they knew how poor of a job he would do speaking to the American people. He ran a race from the basement, and he won. And so 4 years later, having not been able to hide in the basement, although he takes questions from press less than any other president in the history of our country, he has cheat sheets when he does it, et cetera, et cetera. Things are not good for Biden when he's out in public. And this is, again, a known aspect of him for years, although it's gotten worse. But now every data point seems to be screaming that he can't possibly win. He is losing to Trump on any sort of national poll in swing states. I think 7 or 8 of them. Trump is beating him sometimes by more than 5 points. Just look up the data yourself. And if you want to keep screaming, whatever you're screaming into your radio or texting it and sending it off to me, you can, but you're just blindly ignoring the data. And I do think that maybe, just maybe, the Democratic Party is going to throw their hands up the air and give up. Because if they keep Biden as the nominee, if they do not force him out like they forced out Bernie Sanders or anyone else, then they are essentially packing it in because he just isn't electable right now. And no, not because the Trump haters have gone away. The same amount of people who hated Trump the first time will hate Trump the second time, but I think less of them will just vote at all. They'll just forego voting because they can't possibly punch a ticket for Biden. And razor-thin margins get even more razor-thin in some of those states that, again, current data says Trump is winning by more than 5 points in a lot of places. All right, other things out there in the world that I do think are interesting. I mentioned this earlier. The Democrats are looking to push forward a not a border bill, a bill that simply removes the border from the equation. That was the one thing that both sides of the aisle seem to agree we need to do, is secure the border. How we secure it has been the argument. But certainly the big reason to vote against the $118 billion bill for Republicans in the House has not been just the way in which the border would fail to be secured. It was the almost $100 billion in spending for Israel and Ukraine. Now Chuck Schumer is likely to push forward a bill that includes just those things. There doesn't seem to be any way to have a discussion that makes any sense to the other side of the aisle. If that's your reaction to, we don't want to pass this bill because there's too much spending in it, take out the one thing that was actually being debated with some level of interest in both sides actually trying to spend money on it. Also this, I thought this was interesting. Shifting gears somewhat away from the world of politics, the jury foreperson in the trial of Jennifer Crumbley said the guilty verdict wasn't immediately unanimous, but evidence presented in that trial, including her son's notebook writings, played a huge part in the jury's decision. If you didn't follow this the other day, a jury decided that Jennifer Crumbley, the mother of Ethan Crumbley, was guilty of involuntary manslaughter on 4 counts for the actions her son took with a gun that was given to him by his parents. The biggest things within that case that seemed to matter were a social media post that Jennifer Crumbley put up demonstrating a gun and calling it a Christmas gift for Ethan Crumbley, the gun that was actually used in the crime, in the shooting in a school that took the lives of kids in the school. Of course, parents deserve to be held responsible, and they are a missing component to a bunch of these conversations. And if you should have known, and this is the other argument they made in that courtroom, that your son was not in a mentally healthy place and was not someone that you should be giving a gun to, then you are in some way, shape, and form to blame, at least partially, for failing as a parent. Is it something that actually will hold up in court as involuntary manslaughter? I think that's long been the argument in this case. The father hasn't been tried yet. He's going to be tried separately. His name is James. So we'll see if he's also held responsible, because the foreperson, I think, told NBC that one of the other biggest things is that Jennifer was the last adult to hold the gun before that gun was given to Ethan Crumbley, who committed this crime. But parents being afraid that their children could harm other children and being afraid that they could be held legally responsible for that may force parents to be more involved and force parents to be more, worried in certain situations with their kids. And I do think overwhelmingly that's probably a good thing. The one other thing I'll say about this, and again, I'm not really sure if the legal argument will stand up, because involuntary manslaughter is a heck of a charge for someone that didn't desire or want someone to do something, but gave them essentially the means to do it. What I think is interesting more than anything else in this is how this is an avenue to maybe impact gun violence in our society without changing the way in which people have access to the rights under the Second Amendment. And you can get mad at me for saying that out loud and into the radio, but oftentimes when we have those conversations about what we do to fix the risk of and the reality of mass shootings in our country and our society, it's almost always about whether or not guns are something we should have a right to. And anybody that believes in the Second Amendment doesn't feel like that's an appropriate discussion. We don't have as many discussions, and we should have them, about other ways to prevent these sort of things. One of them would be what happened in Michigan. Quick break, a lot more. Craig Collins filling in, 620 WTMJ.
Be sure to load up on Vienna Beef hot dogs for this weekend's big football game. The official hot dog of the Milwaukee Brewers is Vienna Beef. Manufactured and produced since 1893. Available at select grocers and hot dog stands near you.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
When you see our selection of gently worn brand name girls and women's clothing, you'll love what you find, and you'll love the prices. So low that you won't believe your eyes. At St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, you'll find something cute, maybe a whole new outfit, for so much less. Gently worn brand name clothing at far below retail. You're gonna love it. On Highway 100 at Layton and Greenfield, and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it. St. Vincent de Paul.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
It's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Comfort Awnings. You've heard me talk about the wonderful new retractable awning the team at Comfort Awnings installed at my home. Now I can have all the cookouts and get-togethers in my backyard with some extra shade and relaxation for my guests. Comfort Awnings is a local family-owned company in Burlington that provides expert installation in southeast Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Right now, you'll receive a free motor with the purchase of any awning or screen until the end of February. Call 414-AWNINGS for a free estimate or visit ComfortAwnings.com.
Vince Vitrano here for Expedia Cruises in Brookfield, inviting your family to ring in the new year at sea. Join my family for a 7-night cruise on Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas. We leave Orlando January 29th, stop in Mexico, Honduras, and Royal Caribbean's private island. Let's celebrate New Year's 2025 together. Come as a couple with the kids or grandma and grandpa. How about bringing everyone on the trip of a lifetime? Let me send you more information on that trip with Expedia Cruises in Brookfield. Email me, vince@WTMJ.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
.620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be hanging out with you in the early afternoon hours. Even if you're not thrilled to be hanging out with me, but I do love a lot of the texts coming in. I'll get back to those after the news break. You can continue to text us. You can call and get involved in the show. 855-616-1620 is that phone number. 855-616-1620, the number. Some other things out there in the world that I thought was interesting. Rosa Parks was recently listed as the most influential woman in the world, in our society. Of course, during Black History Month, that probably makes even more sense that people's minds would gravitate toward Rosa Parks. The thing that people are talking about, though, isn't who came in number 1 or who came in number 2. That was Princess Diana. Or who came in number 3. Michelle Obama was that name. They're talking about who came in 10th. And 10th was Taylor Swift, which is really interesting to me. She was actually beat by some contemporary women as well. Selena Gomez came in a spot ahead of her at number 9. Beyonce at number 6 on this list. It was a one-poll list that put it together. But those individuals are on the same list as Maya Angelou, Queen Elizabeth. Oprah made it 4th on this list. Really, really interesting when people are asked who was the most influential woman in the history of our society. Weird that there is a name missing, and I don't know how to say this differently. But I am a Catholic, and I'll just admit that going in. Mary, the Mother of God, not listed in the top 10 on this list for influential women. I don't know how that happens per se. I feel like I would have come up with that name if it were me. But again, I know religion isn't what it used to be in our society. So Mary not in the top 10, but Selena Gomez, Taylor Swift, and Beyonce all do make the top 10 of most influential women in history. 74% of people say it's not acceptable to guzzle gin and tonic during a virtual work meeting. I love the specificity of that question. I like when people answer questions in polls in general. And apparently this was all about what you're allowed to do or not do at work. YouGov.com has the full breakdown. If you're working from home, the rules apparently are very different. I think very few people would say that it's okay if you sip on some gin and tonic or guzzle it down, as this says, while you're working in the office. People would immediately be worried for you. 76% of people said not allowed to vape. Again, this is working from home. 75% said no smoking. Drinking alcohol, 74%. Having music playing in the background, 70% of people said that that's not a good move. That's not cool to do. I just think this is chock full of lies. And that's what I'm going to say about every part of this. Because you all know if you work from home, you're doing some of these things. You're playing music in the background. You're doing your laundry. Wearing pajamas made it onto this list. 61% of people said you shouldn't do that. Don't have a child in your lap. Don't have a pet in your lap. Also was in the 50s. People are just lying. And they're just lying because they want to keep working from home. And the reason we want to keep working from home, anyone that does it, is because you do all those things you claim you're not doing. I can't imagine that it's not more true than that. But I love that people are saying the things they're saying because, logically, they feel true. If you're working from home, you should be working just like if you're working in an office. But we all know you're not doing that. Another thing I saw out there that I thought was interesting, a quarter of people will bet on the Super Bowl this year, and more people are betting on the Chiefs. A record 67.8 million Americans are expected to bet on something about Super Bowl 58. That's 26% of all adults in our country. It's close, but more people are betting on the Chiefs than are betting on the 49ers. And a lot of people are probably taking some version of a prop bet at some point, which to me is the most fun. Real betting on the Super Bowl distracts you too much from just enjoying the game. So I don't do that. But prop bets, way more fun to me if I'm going to do any kind of gambling on a sporting event. Things like, will someone miss a note in the national anthem, et cetera, et cetera. Those things, and maybe we'll go through a list of prop bets in just a little bit on this show. Those things to me are things that the entire crowd at whatever your Super Bowl gathering is can discuss right before they do or don't happen. To me, that's way more fun, and again, way less distracting from actually paying attention to the game itself. All right, I will take a break in just a bit. A lot more coming up on the show, a lot of breaking news out there that I want to discuss in the last few hours or so in the world of politics. A lot of things that are happening tomorrow that are going to have resounding impact on our political system. That would be, of course, Trump and the 14th Amendment case against him. All that discussion and more coming up in just a little bit. 620 WTMJ, Craig Collins filling in Milwaukee.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Nagging pain lasting for months, difficulty performing everyday tasks, not moving like you'd like, it's time to see the doctor. And I recommend Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Anytime I've needed care, the appointments are timely, no waiting weeks to be seen, and no pressure to have surgery. It's about getting the right diagnosis and choosing a treatment plan that fits your life. No question where I turn if I'm injured again. The experts in care at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. It's orthowisconsin.com.
Experience, knowledge, and results. That's what really matters when you need help after a serious truck accident. You'll need a lawyer experienced in fighting and winning for people just like you. Gruber Law Offices has the resources, strong track record of success, and a team of experienced lawyers to take care of your needs. We've successfully helped people injured in big truck accidents for more than 35 years. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Keeping you informed, keeping you safe, keeping you engaged and entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 2 o'clock, it's sunny. It's 45 degrees. Tonight, mostly cloudy, mild, a low of 39. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm John Mercure. Developing story in South Milwaukee where authorities have responded to the area of Chicago and Carroll for a report of a body in a barrel. Crews say police tape is up around the scene, and there are multiple evidence markers around the barrel with more details as they become available here on WTMJ. The U.S. military now searching for a Super Stallion helicopter it says was reported overdue to a Marine Corps air station near San Diego overnight. 5 Marines were said to be on board, the military being assisted by the San Diego County Sheriff's Department and Civil Air Patrol. Here's ABC News senior Pentagon reporter Luis Martinez.
There were 5 Marines that were aboard this helicopter when it disappeared, and the concern is that they want to find these Marines. So this is why it is a search and rescue operation, and is being conducted by the Marines as well as with those local authorities.
Wisconsin Congressman Mike Gallagher under fire from fellow Republicans for voting against impeaching U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas.
On this vote, the yeas are 214 and the nays are 216. The resolution is not adopted.
Congressman Gallagher, one of 3 surprising Republican no votes on the House floor last night. Gallagher writing in today's Wall Street Journal that Republicans should have rejected the Pelosi precedent, creating a new lower standard for impeachment, one without any clear limiting principle that won't secure the border or hold Mr. Biden accountable, he wrote. It would only pry open the Pandora's box of perpetual impeachment. But it wasn't just Gallagher's no that was a surprise to Republican Speaker Mike Johnson. It was a Democrat's yes as well.
Explaining his embarrassing defeat in the impeachment vote, Speaker Mike Johnson said it was a surprise that the Democrats produced perfect attendance.
When you're counting votes and people show up when they're not expected to be in the building, it changes the equation.
Texas Democrat Al Green returned from surgery, wheeled into the House chamber in hospital scrubs to vote no. But when Republican Majority Leader Steve Scalise returns from his cancer treatment, Johnson insists.
We will pass those articles of impeachment. We'll do it on the next round.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
The person in custody connected to a double murder in Elkhorn is maintaining his innocence. Criminal defense attorney Drussel Jones has been retained by the accused family. He tells TMJ4 News.
Even though he's been arrested as a person of interest, he wants the public to keep an open mind because he emphatically denies any involvement in this crime.
We're not releasing his name because he's not yet been charged with the crime, but Jones says he does expect charges to be filed within the week. Wisconsin voters are evenly split on President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump ahead of the 2024 election. Marquette University releasing their first Wisconsin Law Poll of the year today. The poll shows Wisconsin voters are split at 49% between Biden and Trump. However, both candidates are more unfavorable than favorable to voters. Voters think Trump would do better on issues such as immigration and border control, while they give Biden better marks on issues such as abortion and health care. The Packers are beginning the search for their next CEO to replace Mark Murphy. Under team bylaws, Murphy is required to retire from his position in July of 2025. The team has hired the same national search firm which it had recommended Murphy to replace Bob Harland in 2007. A search committee expects to take 6 to 9 months to whittle down potential candidates before making a recommendation to the team's board of directors. And thousands of students in Wisconsin are set to get free driver's ed lessons.
The nonprofit Common Ground leading an effort to get students in Wisconsin who have free or reduced lunch to receive grants to take driver's ed. The money comes from a $6 million bill signed by Governor Evers in December for students to take the courses. Lead organizer and executive director of Common Ground, Jennifer O'Hare, tells WTMJ they listened to over 900 people and they said their main issue was reckless driving, a major cause being lack of driver's ed.
Everyone should have access to driver's ed, but the perfect solution is not really attainable right now. So this is a great start.
Julian Johnson, WTMJ News.
Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 2:04.
Hey, if you're sick and tired of those achy joints and dread the idea of surgery, it is time to call QC Kinetics. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzek. The state of healthcare is always evolving. The old ideas like steroids and surgery are no longer your only options. Try regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. It's transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, and drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Talking about knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, pain from arthritis or injury. Don't let the pain keep you from living your best life. Call QC Kinetics. Their advanced and state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's a revolutionary approach that will help you achieve long-term relief with no downtime. So make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility, your independence. Get out, walk, run, and play and live without the danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 414-285-3474. QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474.
Our mission is to protect and uphold our reputation. At Semper Fi, it's the banner we all march under, because the reputation we earn and uphold belongs to all of us. And without a strong reputation in the exterior remodeling business, you're here today and gone tomorrow. And when you've earned a good reputation, that's what makes the difference in value. It's the little extra that you get for the price. And that assurance is actually what counts the most, because it means the good money you're spending with us is not going to go to waste. A roof you can rely on, with a warranty that has a backbone, Craftsman quality airtight window and door installations, brick and stone masonry that's clean and sharp, and new siding that's been known to stop traffic. And it's all backed by a team that over the last 20 years have put a lot of heart and soul into building a reputation that you can believe in. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
The Bucks are finally home again tomorrow night to face Minnesota after going 1-4 on the road. Capped with another loss last night in Phoenix against the Suns, 114-106. Milwaukee played shorthanded with Damian Lillard out, Brook Lopez as well, and then Chris Middleton stepped on Kevin Durant's foot during the game and left the arena in a boot. College buckets, the Badgers lost at Nebraska, then again against Purdue on Sunday. Chance, though, to snap the two-game skid tonight against last-placed Michigan in Ann Arbor. Tip-off is 6 p.m. for that Big Ten matchup. And the Packers get a new linebackers coach in Anthony Campanile. He held the same job in Miami but was replaced there with, wait for it, former Packers defensive coordinator Joe Barry. I'm Bob Brainerd, WTMJ Sports.
Time for your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. No issues, no delays, no slowdowns. Everything looks pretty good.
Traffic is sponsored by the famous Fox & Hounds restaurant near Holy Hill.
The successful Fox and Hounds and Mineshaft restaurants are hiring friendly, people-oriented servers. You'll make real cash, full or part-time, and always busy. Inquire today, start next week.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy and mild, a low of 39 degrees. Tomorrow, breezy, mild, maybe a rumble of thunder, a high of 54. On Friday, partly cloudy, breezy, a high of 52. Saturday, cloudy, a high of 40. Sunday, cloudy, a high of 38 degrees. Right now in Madison, it's cloudy and 43 degrees. In Titletown, cloudy and 44. In Waukesha, it's 42 with cloudy skies. Kind of a hazy sunshine in Milwaukee. It is 44 degrees. I'm John Mercure, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:08.
It's the middle of the day on WTMJ. Come join the conversation on the WTMJ Talk and Text line at 855-616-1620. Now, here's Craig Collins.
That's right. My name is Craig Collins, filling in on 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. You can text us. You can text me. 855-616-1620 is that phone number. 855-616-1620. You can call us too, of course, and get involved. I was just talking about prop bets before the Super Bowl, and usually these are the most fun to go through. I don't know, Aaron, if you're someone who bets in these a lot. There's two versions of prop bets, by the way. There's the ones that are actually somewhat relevant to the game itself. Things like who's going to win the coin toss, what color is the Gatorade bath going to be for the winning team. I do like that. And by the way, purple is the odds-on favorite, if you were curious about that. Who calls the first time out, etc. Then there's crazier ones, silly ones that have nothing really to do with the game at all. Things like how many times is Taylor Swift going to be shown on camera, or even talked about in pregame as to whether or not she'll make it in time with her concert the night before, I think in Tokyo. Is this something you follow at all, prop bets?
Oh, yeah, I kind of keep my eye on them, especially the Gatorade bath one. That one always gets my attention year after year.
What are you going for Gatorade bath? Because if you go no Gatorade bath and clean water, you make a killing if it actually happens.
Wow, could you imagine?
I know.
You know what? I think last year was orange?
I think so.
And you know what? I think, call me crazy, I'm going back-to-back oranges.
That's fine. I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
And actually, it's going to make you twice the money that betting on purple would make you if you go that road. Again, there's a whole lot of them. We can run through some of these. Total yards gained on the first play, over under 3.5 yards. What are you thinking there?
Could you repeat that again one more time?
Total yards gained on the first play, the first offensive play, over under 3.5.
I'll go over. I'll take the over on that.
All right. I'll take the under. We'll see what happens.
Okay,
someone should be writing these down. No one will care which one of us won. Who will throw the first interception of the game? Who do you think?
I'll go Mahomes.
All right. I'll go Brock Purdy. I think that's pretty likely to happen there. Although, who knows? Mahomes will scramble and throw something somewhere.
That's what I'm thinking.
Go ahead. Let's do some of the crazier ones. What team apparel will Drake wear at the Super Bowl? That's a real question out there.
Definitely Chiefs.
Okay, they're not paying as well as the Niners, but definitely people are expecting that to be true.
Yeah.
How many times will Roger Goodell be shown on camera? Over under 1.5?
Oh, over.
Okay, way over.
I'd say like 3 times.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Will any player be ejected for throwing a punch or fighting during this game?
I'm going to say no.
All right. Well, that you take some odds with you there. It's negative 1,600, a plus 700 if somebody gets thrown out for fighting. Some of these, if the fix is ever in, it'd be very easy to get someone who's not likely to, say, be a difference maker, but to go out and just throw a haymaker somewhere and make a bunch of us a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is where you could cheat the most.
Is there a backup long snapper? Send that guy out. and have him just throw a punch, and we can all have a good day, you know?
There you go. Yeah, it doesn't even have to land. Just throw something and get thrown out of the game.
Completely
will any player propose to their girlfriend on the field after the game?
That's a great one. I love that. I'll go, yeah. You know what?
Okay.
I'll say yes.
All right. No has the odds with it. Yes is not the favorite. And Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce is not even listed specifically as the group. But I know somebody might propose. Will either kicker hit the upright or crossbar on a missed field goal or an extra point?
I'm a Bears fan, so I'm very I get hurt when we talk about I get hurt when we talk about crossbars a little bit. It just kind of hurts my soul. So, for my own sake, I'm going to say no crossbars hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, one last one. Will the power go out at the Super Bowl?
No.
Okay.
I think that's a safe
yes,
bet.
Yes pays well, by the way. If it does go out, yes pays super well. I love that you mentioned the double doink for just a second. Do you remember the bar in Chicago that actually had people show up behind it and try to kick a field goal after the double doink miss?
Yeah, I do remember that very vividly. I remember actually, as a Bears fan, being like, maybe something will come of this, because we could use it.
You thought they were going to sign somebody at the end of that?
I thought maybe some college soccer player would come through and be like, wait a second, this guy's, pretty good.
There you go.
Better than Cody Parkey.
Do you think you could hit a field goal from any distance?
Oh, no. Heck no.
Okay.
I'm a horrible, I can't kick anything. Kickball, every time we played that in PE, I just would be upset the whole day. I'd be like, kickball,
I have no discernible kicking skills, and yet I'm convinced that with a little bit of training, I could kick a field goal. I don't know how deep it would be, maybe an extra point or something. I think there's a chance that you hit it. And I've said, go ahead.
Isn't there a Gronk field goal going on?
Yeah, there is. That's going to happen too. So maybe that'll be a good example of things. But fans did fail to kick a 43-yard field goal at Goose Island after the double doink. And I remember watching that thing. I was actually living in Chicago at the time and thinking to myself, I should go to this. I feel like I might not hit 43 though. That feels deeper than I'm capable.
I feel like you think 43 and you kind of imagine like it could be doable. Then you're looking at 43. You're eyeing it up.
No.
Yeah. Then you realize it's a lot further than it seems.
Yeah, 20 max, I feel, and probably not consistent. I'll hit it one out of every few times, and there can't be anybody else in the field. It's just me and a football.
Yeah.
And that's
and literally one of those things that holds the football for you, not as somebody else holding the ball. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't trust that person.
No,
they're going to Lucy me for sure. All right. But the prop bets are all out there for anyone that wants to dive into those. I do love those quite a bit. And the Super Bowl coming up this week. Do you have any plans for it? Do you have any big things you're going to do?
Yeah, one of my buddies is having a little party, so we're just going to go over there, and just have a good time, watch the game. I always struggle with this. You get to a Super Bowl party and then it gets, you get engaged with everybody at the party and you kind of forget to watch the game.
Sure.
And so this year I'm making a concerted effort to focus on the game,
It depends on the crowd you go with, right? If you have enough buddies with you who are also very into the game, then you split off into two crowds. There's a side room where everybody is that doesn't give a crap, and then most of us are watching the game in the room that cares.
Yeah.
But if you're with a lot of people who don't care, it's trouble. That's a problem.
You're right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we'll see what the crowd's like, but that might be the case on Sunday for us.
One year, I actually watched the Super Bowl in Mexico. My wife is from Mexico, and I'll tell you, Mexico does not care about the Super Bowl. Not at all. And I was setting up my snacks and stuff before the game, and I remember all of my wife's family, all of my in-laws were like, what's he doing? What's he putting all these things on plates for? Why is he buying soda from across the street? Why is he sitting there? And the kids, they loved me. All the nieces and nephews were like, oh, free snacks. This is great. I was the only one that watched any of the TV. That year. So that's never to be done again in my house.
So Mexico, not a good place to watch Super Bowl.
No, they do not care.
Gotcha.
They keep asking you questions about why they're not playing regular soccer, which is its own problem. All right, we'll take a break on that. A lot more coming up in a bit. This is Craig Collins filling in, 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
Be our eyes on the road. See something out there that I should know about?
Hi there. I was calling to report a traffic accident for your traffic reporter, Debbie Lazica.
Call me, Debbie Lazica, at thehallmazda.com traffic tip line at 414-238-9329.
Hi, Debbie. It's Michael. Eastbound 894, and there's the fender bender, and these guys are blocking the right lane.
The drive affects you. Why not be part of it? Give me a call, 414-238-9329.
Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes won't slow us down. Allergies, high blood pressure, shoulder pain, cancer. Nothing will keep us from pushing Wisconsin ahead. Because with the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network, forward progress is what we stand for. That means always pushing and always innovating. With new technologies and breakthrough treatments that make life better, whether we're sick or well. It means providing more convenience and more ways to receive medical excellence for all your health needs, for big and small. It means being there for you, our family, caring for yours. So let's keep raising the bar. Let's keep testing the limits of what medicine can do. Let's push ahead and make life here as great as it can be. Visit Freighter.com to find out how.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
Some people just know bundling with Allstate means big savings. Just like they know the right ingredient means big flavor. They know honey on pizza is where it's at. And olive oil on ice cream is the cherry on top. And they know when you bundle home and auto with Allstate, you can save up to 25%.
Bundled savings vary by state and are not available in every state. Saving up to 25% is the countrywide average of the maximum available savings off the home policy. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be with you. I want to play some audio of Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is claiming that Donald Trump wants chaos, that it's all Donald Trump's fault, that Republicans in the House don't want to pass that bill that the Senate said that they found bipartisan support for, that even Glitch McConnell, which is what he's being called now after another worrying health freeze thing happened, he stopped mid-sentence again. But even McConnell is saying, you know what, don't vote for this. We made some mistakes. We did some things wrong that we shouldn't have done, which is a weird change and a weird conversation to come from Glitch McConnell. But here's Schumer saying that Donald Trump just wants anarchy and chaos and terribleness, and that's all the plan is. And I hardly believe this to be true. I wholeheartedly disagree with it, but here's Chuck Schumer.
Wants chaos. Donald Trump does not want success at the border. He wants chaos, and if he became president, I doubt he'd ever solve it, as Mitch McConnell said. And so we want them to pass the border bill, and if they vote against border, America will know who is for fixing the border and who is not.
See, that's the part I hate, and that's the part I've been telling you about all day is the most ridiculous thing in politics. If I were to feed you a 5-course meal, or, well, for math's sake, let's call 6 courses because it's going to be easier for me. Let's say it's a 6-course meal. And let's say you absolutely hated 5 of the courses. Let's say you're allergic to 2 of those 5 courses. And you're like, I can't eat these. But then there's just 1 course of the meal that you're like, all right, I can sort of understand this one. Or I don't hate it entirely. If you were to tell me that you hated my cooking and I focused on just the one thing that you kind of sort of liked, and I'm like, how dare you hate that thing? At like the chocolate ice cream at the end of the thing that nobody can hate. If I'm like, how dare you hate that? That's what politics does. $118 billion bill with almost $100 billion. See, that's 5 shares of my food servings there, all going to not the border, and then $20 billion going to the border and calling it a border bill. The other one that was awesome, and eventually even Biden himself admitted was not named properly, was the Inflation Reduction Act and bill that did very, very little, if anything, to actually reduce inflation. And what it truly did was focus on trying to destroy fossil fuels and certain forms of energy and prop up green energy. And the reason that even Biden has admitted that it should have been named something else is he wants young people to vote for him because he wants to convince them he's fighting for green energy and things that they care about a lot and not necessarily caring as much about the Inflation Reduction Act that was so misnamed. But this is the MO. This is the game. And now after this, Democrats are intent on passing a bill that has nothing to do with the border at all, because that makes sense. Pass a $118 billion bill that barely includes the border, respective to the other things you're spending money on. $20 billion is a lot of money to spend on the border. They're still not even creating a deterrent, but darn it, that's going to sidetrack us too much. Instead of that, you could actually pass a bill that's just about the border, and they refuse to do it. Who wants chaos? Who wants turmoil? Who wants to point the finger at Trump and say that he's the problem? Democrats want that. Trump's not in office right now. Trump is not an elected official. So to say that he is pulling the strings behind the scenes is the same kind of conspiracy theory, controversial thinking that Democrats so oftenly reject when Republicans talk about it. If a friend of yours who's conservative says they think that Obama is pulling the strings behind the scene and Biden's not really the president, and you say, how dare you, sir? That is crazy That is ridiculous. That is, out of the middle of left field, and it couldn't possibly be true. And then I tell you that, well, did you hear what Schumer said about Trump? And you're like, well, that's definitely true. Of course he has access and control of the conservative party. That's the exact same notion. Trump is, yes, popular. Obama is popular to Democrats. Who is pulling the strings? Who is wielding power? You can't have it both ways. I just assume that people accept this, and yet they really don't. All right, there's one other thing I want to play. I can't help wanting to play this. Part of me is saying to myself, maybe I shouldn't, but darn it, we're already here. We're going to do it. Aaron Rodgers was talking about drug companies, big pharma, and how much money they spend in advertising during news and other things. Aaron Rodgers has become a unlikely face in these types of conversations. Yeah, there was the whole thing against Jimmy Kimmel that wound up not being true. Kimmel never mentioned in any of the stuff that Aaron Rodgers seemed to be hinting at him being mentioned in. And then actually Aaron Rodgers said he never said that, and he meant something different, which I thought was interesting. But Aaron Rodgers, famous quarterback, certainly famous, I would imagine still, although probably not quite as liked as before in Wisconsin, especially by people who feel a certain way about the political things he said. But Aaron is not a dumb person. And anyone that just writes off everything he says as stupidity and stupidity alone doesn't seem to be aware of just how successful he's been in the world of not just football, but other stuff, is I guess what I'll say there. Or even just presenting a mental acuity that's higher than most because of some of the things he's done in the world of football, some of the scores he's gotten on certain tests, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying that everything he says is right. I'm not saying he's a genius. I'm not saying that he should be the next, scientist we turn to, a la Anthony Fauci. But I do think that he's not a moron. And so when you write off everything he says entirely, I think you're wrong to do that. Here we go.
Why are these drug companies, Big Pharma, spending so much money on advertisements during the news is not to sell their products. They don't have a problem with that. It's to control the messaging.
Yes.
I mean, they're fucking control.
Oh, sorry, right, to make sure to end that. That was supposed to be edited out. Please hit the dump button there. But Aaron Rodgers is upset with the pharmaceutical companies and the decisions they make because so many of the things that they get so very wrong in this world are things that you can't possibly get wrong and then still have the credibility that they ask to have. They don't need to sell their products via advertising, and yet they do it anyway. All right, quick break, a lot more. Craig Collins filling in, 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
Get inside the mind of Mark Tauscher.
I always enjoy having a podium. If you're giving a speech, they'll say you want a podium. Who passes on a podium?
See the world from his perspective on Wisconsin's Morning News.
Have you ever been asked a question that when they asked it, you're like, that's kind of a dumb one?
Every day at 7:50.
Yeah, Wildy, pretty much.
Every
Jason
day.
Wildy, 9 to 12, pretty much every morning. Yeah.
Mark Tauscher on Wisconsin's Morning News. Presented by your Wisconsin Chevy dealer. Hello Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and Kohler Services.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, clicked on the blue button. One of our senior loan consultants, Brad, sent them a credit-verified pre-approval the same day, and then upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. They made a couple offers without success, and then Brad told them about AccuNet's new property-specific pre-approval, where we might be able to include those magic words, no appraisal required. When they wrote their next offer, several $1,000s over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their property-specific rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval included that most powerful phrase, no appraisal required, and the sellers picked Steve and Ashley's offer over several others. If you think all mortgage lenders and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with a local mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win and save money too. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Better days start with a better night's sleep on a mattress from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in Milwaukee, our mattresses are custom built to your needs. We have all the comfort and firmness options to give you your best night's rest. Buying direct from our factory showrooms will save you up to 50% compared to national brands. Shop today during our New Year's sale at Ken Michaels Furniture for over 75 years of uncompromising quality, local factory direct saving, and your best night's sleep. Start the new year right with Norwalk Furniture on sale now at Ken Michaels Furniture. Save 35% on showroom pieces that are ready for immediate delivery, or in just 35 days, you can create a look that reflects your unique style with over 850 fabric and leather options and comfort levels, from cuddling to extra firm support. Norwalk Furniture's American roots go back over 102 years. For better quality American-made upholstery, shop the Norwalk Upholstery Sale at any Ken Michaels Furniture locations in Greenfield, Brookfield, or downtown.
620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. Thrilled to be with you. Lots of stuff to talk about, as I always say, right here on the show. I thought it was interesting that people are talking about the iPhone 15 and some of the features and the battery life issues that have been improved dramatically. You feel like you see that all the time, although the iPhone 15 has been out for a while now. In the world of technology, the stuff you got to turn on, the stuff you got to turn off in order to make sure that your equipment, your technology, whatever it is working appropriately, working the way you expect it to work. And what I find most fascinating about that, what I find most interesting about that concept is that these things are so proficient now. They're so well built. There's been so many, versions of it, and yet you still have to go in and turn off this one setting. Otherwise, you're going to have no battery power whatsoever. At least it's going to drain very, very quickly. Why does that happen is my genuine question for that. How come it is that challenging for them still in this world? I don't know if you've paid attention to. Apple is selling all of their glasses, their goggles out. They're doing quite well there, even though they're very expensive. And they're making a car that's coming out in the next couple of years, but they still can't figure out how to make the battery on the phone work appropriately without you going in and turning off certain settings. It feels like that's not a good thing. And if you need a cheat sheet on that, it's all over the internet. You can find it. Don't worry at all. Something that I've meant to talk about more today is a very significant ruling that happened in Michigan. They found the mother of someone who took the lives of kids in a school guilty of involuntary manslaughter. The son's name, Ethan Crumbly, was a minor at the time when he, committed a mass shooting at Oxford High School. That was in November of 2021. His mother's name is Jennifer Crumbly, and she was found guilty of 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. One of the most important things about this lawsuit and this case is the likelihood of a lot more of these coming out in the future. I am someone who is a proponent of the Second Amendment. I'm someone who's actually a gun owner, and I live in Illinois, which means I had to get the FOID card and do all this stuff to make that something that I was allowed to do. And actually, it's all been relatively new for me. I'm in my late 30s. I talk about things on the radio, and you've certainly noticed, I can tell a whole lot of people have noticed via the things they text the show, that I'm a conservative, that I definitely lean, if not lean quite a bit to a certain side of the political aisle. And so I always thought gun rights was a valuable conversation, but I didn't necessarily use my own a right to own and bear arms. And I've started doing that as of, maybe 6 months ago. And I found the community to be abundantly safe. I found the people who go to shooting ranges to care a whole lot about doing things the right way to make sure no one is ever in any sort of jeopardy of you making a mistake. A gun always pointed down range. The gun doesn't get loaded away from the range, et cetera. There's a bunch of things there. And so I think it's very interesting when people talk about gun restrictions or removing gun rights as a solution to this problem. Because the only people who probably don't care if something like a gun is legal or illegal are the people who are going to commit crimes and take lives. They're not going to be stopped by a law, and I think most of us rationally know that. But will they be stopped by stuff like this? Will family members be more involved? Will family members try harder to prevent their kids from doing things like this if they believe they could be held accountable for fairly serious crimes, crimes that will send you to jail for years? Granted, sentencing hasn't happened yet. If involuntary manslaughter is the type of crime that you're tried with or that you're charged with. Now, granted, there's still some legal, hurdles for that case to jump over. There's still going to be back and forth challenges on it. But nonetheless, I do think this is a valuable move forward in protecting society without going that one road that everyone argues so much about, which is the road of gun rights themselves. There are several things you can do to protect yourself or your company, for example, in the society we live in today without necessarily saying that this right of people that's fairly evident in an amendment in the Constitution, that we have to take that away from all, even the ones who never intend to do harm to anyone. The vast majority of people, of course. All right, I'll take a break on that. A lot more in a bit. Greg Collins filling in, 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
Be our eyes on the road. See something out there that I should know about?
Hi there. I was calling to report a traffic accident for your traffic reporter, Debbie Lazica.
Call me, Debbie Lazica, at thehallmazda.com traffic tip line at 414-238-9329.
Hi, Debbie. It's Michael. Eastbound 894, and there's the fender bender, and these guys are blocking the right lane.
The drive affects you. Why not be part of it? Give me a call, 414-238-9329.
In this seller's market, even homeowners are trying to sell their own home. But more times than not, it doesn't work out like they'd hoped. And while homes like theirs are selling, and selling fast for over asking prices, their homes aren't. So what's your next best strategy? Well, if you're looking to relieve yourself of the stress of selling your own home and still get top dollar while getting the full service benefits that an experienced realtor can give you, then look no further. I'm Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where 3.5 to 3.9% commission assures that you pay less for full service. Only 11% of those trying to sell their own homes actually succeed. And of those that do sell their own home, they sell on average for 26% less than agented properties. This often negates the savings they were hoping to get by doing it on their own. So why do it on your own when you have an experienced realtor that will give you full service at only 3.5 to 3.9% commission? Don't let your home sit while others are selling faster and at potentially better than asking prices. Call Benefit Realty for a highly experienced agent, and you'll pay less for full service.
It's WTMJ's Debbie Lazica for Comfort Awnings. You've heard me talk about the wonderful new retractable awning the team at Comfort Awnings installed at my home. Now I can have all the cookouts and get-togethers in my backyard with some extra shade and relaxation for my guests. Comfort Awnings is a local family-owned company in Burlington that provides expert installation in southeast Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Right now, you'll receive a free motor with the purchase of any awning or screen until the end of February. Call 414-AWNINGS for a free estimate or visit comfortawnings.com.
Since 1946, Ansay & Associates has provided insurance to help secure businesses and families throughout Wisconsin. With custom coverage and superior customer service, Ansay & Associates can provide all of your insurance needs. Visit ansay.com today and get a free consultation with one of our strategists. Or come see us in person at any of our local offices. Ansay & Associates, securing and protecting your American dream.
620 WTMJ. My name is Craig Collins, filling in for just a few more minutes, and then we'll take another break. And then I got Brian Noonan coming on to chat with me from WTMJ Nights. Very fun conversation with him. We assume, because when he and I get together, we almost always talk about silly stuff, and we've known each other for years. Although I'm getting an inkling that I might have to ask him at least one serious question, especially based on the way that I'm still getting some responses, both positive and negative, from you, the listeners out there. And you can keep texting us, keep interacting with us, please. 855-616-1620, 855-616-1620. One quick thing, and then, as I said, we'll take a break and come back with a guest. RNC chairwoman Ronna McDaniel has told Trump that she's going to resign her seat. She's going to resign the chair. She wants to, quote, be a team player. That's apparently something she told Trump at Mar-a-Lago recently, according to CBS News. She is not well-liked by the Republican Party. She was someone that was targeted by Vivek Ramaswamy at some of those debates. And I know everybody has the feelings they do about Vivek, either good or bad, but they were effective jabs taken at her and some of the unwillingness she had at times to see what was actually going on within the Conservative Party. But she apparently is now willing to just go away. That's what she's told Trump anyway. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if CBS is right in that reporting on it. And, of course, also the primary in South Carolina barreling toward us, where Trump is likely to defeat Nikki Haley by a wide margin in a place where she was once a governor. So you'd imagine that might be the end of Haley claiming she's a legitimate candidate for the nomination on the Republican side of the aisle. All right, as I said, we're going to take a break. We'll get right back to things in a little bit, and we'll bring on my buddy Brian Noonan, who you hear evenings on WTMJ Nights right here on 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee.
Be sure to load up on Vienna Beef hot dogs for this weekend's big football game. The official hot dog of the Milwaukee Brewers is Vienna Beef. Manufactured and produced since 1893. Available at select grocers and hot dog stands near you.
Sandy Max here with an awesome opportunity from my friends at Three Pillars, Wisconsin's top-rated senior living community in beautiful Lake Country. Three Pillars is hiring assisted living caregivers and really needs folks for the overnight shifts. Pay rates start at $20 an hour, plus they'll give you a $2,000 bonus if you apply and receive an offer by February 29th. Great place, greater cause, making a huge difference in the lives of others. And you make $2,000 before you even start. Go to threepillars.org and click the Careers tab to learn more. That's threepillars.org.
Our mission is to protect and uphold our reputation. At Semper Fi, it's the banner we all march under, because the reputation we earn and uphold belongs to all of us. And without a strong reputation in the exterior remodeling business, you're here today and gone tomorrow. And when you've earned a good reputation, that's what makes the difference in value. It's the little extra that you get for the price. And that assurance is actually what counts the most, because it means the good money you're spending with us is not going to go to waste. A roof you can rely on, with a warranty that has a backbone. Craftsman quality airtight window and door installations. Brick and stone masonry that's clean and sharp. And new siding that's been known to stop traffic. And it's all backed by a team that over the last 20 years have put a lot of heart and soul into building a reputation that you can believe in. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Losing sleep lately? The job, the house, the headlines, or investments? How about the feeling your investment partner isn't a partner at all? They might be operating in someone's best interest, but that someone isn't you. It's time for Annex Wealth Management. It's easy. Head to annexwealth.com, click the Get Started button. We work in your best interest as a fiduciary. That commitment runs so deep, we put it in writing. Does your advisor do that? Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management. Start at annexwealth.com.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlands.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to serve you.
Richlands. Brewers win!
Get more from your live baseball experience with the 2024 Brewers Ticket Plan. On sale now. Don't miss more exclusive Brewers season seat holder rewards, like your very own batting practice session, more can't-miss action, and more access to the game you love. It's your ticket to being a VIP Brewers fan this season. Plus, you'll enjoy savings on ticket prices you can't get anywhere else. Learn more at brewers.com/ticket plans.
Hey, Gene Miller here. The heart of winter is the best time to call my friends at Hometown Windows and Doors. Save heating and cooling dollars down the road with energy-efficient replacement windows and doors from brands like Pella, Anderson, Marvin, and more. Hometown is your local source for wood, vinyl, or fiberglass, plus all of their products are installed by employee carpenters. Stop into their newly remodeled showroom in New Berlin and see the Hometown difference. That's Hometown with an E for your every window and door need. HometownWindows.com.
620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. Craig Collins filling in, and I've asked a buddy of mine, a friend of mine, to jump in and be a part of the tail end of this fill-in shift in the show. A person you definitely know, Brian Noonan. How you doing, buddy?
I am well, Craig. Welcome to TMJ and the Good Karma family.
Thank you.
So happy to have you. Did you get the fruit basket I sent?
Yeah, I got the fruit basket you sent. I'm not sure that I'm actually in the family, by the way. I think I'm like the cousin that we're not sure is really related. I think that's my role for now.
You're the cousin of the sister-in-law. So it's tenuous, but you can still come to stuff. We're,
good.
You're all right.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, man. You, of course, have a show at night here. WTMJ Nights is what they call it, with Brian Noonan. Are you on this evening?
Yes, I will be on at 7 o'clock tonight talking about all sorts of things.
Sure.
By all sorts of things, I haven't figured those out yet. But I will I will have them ready by 7. That's my pledge to the listener.
That's a good plan. I think that's a great plan.
Sure.
All right, some sillier things to talk about. When you and I get together, we've actually been friends for a while, known each other since days at different radio stations. We usually talk about some silly stuff and some serious stuff. Do you want to do any serious or no?
We can do whatever. I do the same thing at night. Everybody knows. So if it's big news, I talk about it. If it's goofy, I talk about it. So what do you got?
Well, there's one thing I want to talk to you about. And it's been a through line of the fill-in shifts I've been doing here at 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee. And I think you know where I'm going to go, and I think you probably don't want me to go here.
No, you go
Okay.
where you got to go.
I can't help it. So there's a thing. So yesterday, of course, one of the big conversations is that we're getting closer and closer to Trump showing up in court and debating the 14th Amendment and whether or not he deserves to be removed from ballots in Colorado or anywhere else.
Correct.
That's a big thing. It's going to be a marquee lawsuit or decision by the Supreme Court, regardless of what way they go. Although I think a large majority of people think for one reason or another, they're probably going to find that removing Trump from a ballot's not going to fly. So here's what I've done, Noonan, especially after experiencing the audience, some of the audience at 620 WTMJ in Milwaukee last week. I've dove as deep as any human could ever dive into one word, the word insurrection. My friend, I know it's a far right thing when people think that you reject this idea or you debate this idea. They're like, whoa, what guy just jumped off the Trump train and started talking about this topic? The truth is, though, that if you describe what happened in January in 2021 as a violent riot, I don't think you're calling it a birthday party anyone would want to be invited to. But at the same time, if you use that term instead of another term, you make it impossible for him to be removed, him being Trump, from a ballot because of the 14th Amendment. So I think that's why the conversation deserves air. You tell me what's right or wrong about what I'm saying.
All right. Well, first of all, what day they didn't just do this, to use your term, a violent riot on just any given Wednesday. They were there on a specific day,
sure,
with the specific call to arms to stop the verification of the election. That was why they were there that day.
Well,
had they gone another day, I would say your riot theory is passable.
Sure.
But they were all there for one reason only.
Well, but that's not true, actually. So here's how I'll push back on that, Noonan, and I love that we can talk about this and still be friends after it. A vast majority of those people were not aware of any of the planning that, say, the Proud Boy members or anyone else was aware of. And you can see it reflected into the way that they carried themselves, even once those individuals got inside the Capitol building. It is inherently different than how it would have looked, say, if during the Civil War someone had breached the Capitol building. And the other thing that I find so odd about the end result of that day is almost everybody that did the insurrecting, if that's what you want to call it, got on a bus and went home. If you were passionate enough to try to overthrow our government, our, political system, I don't think you usually just go ahead and go home after you get your tourist photos. I think you stay. And so the fact that they didn't, the fact that inevitably this ended the way it did, and then you had the court cases much later, makes me feel as though a vast majority of those individuals were part of a riot that got admittedly very out of hand in a very bad place for our country, but certainly not a lot of people who intended to try to hang Mike Pence.
With all due respect,
yes, sir,
you are trying to parse words and be an apologist.
I don't think I am.
I think you are.
Sure.
I think these, again, I go back to the reason they're there. I go to this being an organized event. A riot usually just jumps off. It starts with a small protest. It starts with one focal thing. If you want to use the one focal point for this, the one focal point was stop the codifying the election.
Sure.
That's why everybody was there. The fact that they went home is not a justification. The police came, the troops came, they turned them back, they went home.
The troops did not come. The troops stayed off to the side.
Whoever came,
it was just the Capitol Police.
Out.
And actually, you know what's really funny about this? And we'll move on. We don't have to keep debating this, Noonan. And I thank you for humoring me.
You are never going to change my mind.
I know I'm not. And that's not the intention. I think the intention is for the audience to hear two different people have a different...
I also think that it's, you can use whatever word you want. People watched it.
But
see, this is not some abstract argument.
Right.
This is something we all watched on TV.
Yes.
We know what we saw.
Right.
If your wife walked in on you with a hooker, you couldn't say, well, it wasn't that. It was physical therapy. It's not the same.
I agree with you. And that's why I think the people who play in the sides of extremes by saying if it wasn't an insurrection, then it had to be, a walk in the park. I think that those extremes are a mistake because so often we live in those places where we need to wholeheartedly disagree with the other side as opposed to find some medium ground. And the reason that the word is so important is because it's the word used in the 14th Amendment to prevent someone from gaining office again.
Yes,
So,
but you know about the appeals court ruling yesterday.
Yes.
That said he is an officer.
He's not immune. So there were two cases.
There were more things.
So,
if you go through it, the top thing is that he is not immune.
Right.
They also said that he is considered an officer.
Right. Well, but the one thing that's a problem with this, and I was going to move on, but the one thing that's a problem is he's never been convicted of an insurrection. He's not even being tried for one anywhere in the country. Colorado decided he was guilty of inciting an insurrection without a trial. So isn't it odd to remove him potentially from the ballot now before a case has even been announced to try him for the crime that he is being assumed to have committed?
All right, we could blow this into a huge thing. Let's be honest. It's the primary. Nobody's beating him in the primary.
Sure.
He's going to be on the general election ballot one way or another because that's federal. The states can do, everybody. I thought the MAGA crowd was all about states' rights.
No, I would say
the state can take him off.
Yeah.
He's still going to be on the ballot. It's not taking him away from the election. And if you try to go, well, who's going to beat him?
No. 25 states took some level of action, have some level of a case to try to remove him from a ballot, a primary ballot, which means he cannot be voted for. If all 25 of those states decide to move forward after Colorado succeeded with the Supreme Court in saying that they're allowed to remove him from a ballot, he can't be voted for. So his commanding win or his commanding lead in any poll is irrelevant if his name doesn't appear on a ticket and you can't write him in. So 25 states, he would lose.
That's in the state primaries.
I know, but he would lose in 25.
But he would not on the federal election ballot.
No, it is the primary ballot though, and he would not gain the nomination of the Republican Party if he loses to Nikki Haley by 100% in 25 states.
Stop.
She would gain.
Please stop. Stop.
She would be the only name on the ballot, Noonan.
She would be the name on the primary ballots. Do you think
you have to win the primary to be the nominee?
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
I mean, the Republican,
the delegates can vote for whoever they want.
The Republican Party can do some things, and depending on what state you're in, there's rules. And you just said absolutely what's true in some states. The delegates can make their own decisions. The candidate can appoint delegates. The state can appoint delegates, depending again what state you're from. There are some states that require the delegates to say exactly what happened in their state, but it's entirely messy. It's insanely messy. If this is something that occurs, in my opinion. So I can't imagine that it's something that anyone wants to occur. And as you said, it's actually a brilliant argument that technically Trump would still be able to claim that he could run for office for the role of president as an independent because he didn't even lose the Republican nomination. He was removed from the ballot. So he wouldn't be disallowed to do that. He probably would do it, maybe from jail. Who knows? It would be a crazy mess of a system if that happened.
Be sure to load up on Vienna Beef hot dogs for this weekend's big football game. The official hot dog of the Milwaukee Brewers is Vienna Beef. Manufactured and produced since 1893. Available at select grocers and hot dog stands near you.
According to the U.S. debt clock, our debt is over $32 trillion and climbing. The question is, how do we pay it off? One of the most likely answers is increasing taxes. Now think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now when rates are historically low, or later when rates are potentially higher? At Drake & Associates, we can help you create a plan so your retirement is tax efficient as possible. If you'd like to continue your education, we have our Retirement Ready Toolkit, which includes guides on retirement tax savings. To receive this complimentary toolkit, call or text TAX to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting TAX to 414-409-9982. When taxes go up, will you be ready? Call or text now.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
Jackson Hewitt offers you your biggest